for the Thuppets, our puppets that Hardy has put together. The Thuppets theme, and it's just about ready, so we're looking to debut that at 8 today. Nicholas has a hand in making this one, a small hand in making this one, so he is, at this point, cramming to get this one thing done before 8, and then Hardy will have to put that in, and then it will be ready to go up on our socials.
Nicholas has some quiet, impressive skills when it comes to, and you've mentioned this about Nicholas before, when it comes to the photoshopping and he, kind of, self-taught, because I can't imagine being like an actual instructor of Nick. I can't imagine like being his teacher or tutor in anything. So anything he does learn, he's going to have to teach himself. Very specific way of learning, I'm guessing, for Nick. But yes, he contributed to this, and he's got skills, not beyond his low center of gravity skills, which is just God given. That's something you're born with.
Yes. Yeah, his bottom you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. That's not a BBL. That's a real fanny. That's something that, genetics, lack of exercise, there's a lot of things that you have to sacrifice.
There's nothing sexual.
Dignity.
There's nothing sexual, nothing he has to go to HR over. I am curious, though, and even LBF has mentioned this before. There is something fascinating about Nick's bottom that I would like to see, if not completely nude, I would like to see it in some type of like tight-fitting garment, because I want to know.
About Nick's juicy thighs.
Right. I want to know if it's smooth or if it's like a pillowcase full of softballs. I want to know, is it lumpy? Is it, is there texture to it? Is there a terrain, or is it just, big and beautiful and spherical? But he always, he wears the closest thing he can find to baggy pants, which he really can't. No, I mean, he tries to wear like, the
mom jeans.
He tries to wear like the relaxed fit Carhartts and stuff, but they're not relaxed. They're still
straining.
They're a little bit, kind of like the side of a Pillsbury crescent roll can. You feel like if you just pressed a spoon up against the side of his hip, it would pop open. But I wanted to see what it looks like beyond that.
Well, the struggle to buy men's pants has got to be really like a narrow waist, narrow bottom type thing.
I think that happens to like normal sized people too, because you go into, like a Banana Republic type store or something like that, which I don't shop at, because they think if you're 5'10", you should have a 30-inch waist. And they don't. Some of these places, they don't make separate waist and inseam things. They're like, oh no, if you need them this long, then your waist is this size, right?
Well, that's not the issue with women. The women would have a smaller waist by design. The thing would be that it would have a small waist, and then it would kick out in the hips. So, no, I mean, Nick would have trouble in a lot of ways. I mean, he would have, even with normal size pants, as you stated. So obviously that's what the issue is. But yes, he has not had a BBL. He has not done any of those things. That is au naturel. It's funny because you mentioned wanting to see Nick's butt.
I do.
There is one man I've always wanted to see nude.
Oh.
And now more than ever. And that is Bill Belichick. I would like to see Bill Belichick naked now as a science experiment. It used to be because I wondered if he had any like rockin' tats, like where the son couldn't see him, like where the judge couldn't see him. Like if he, he's good friends with Bon Jovi. I always wondered if he had like a slippery when wet tattoo or something like that.
It's odd. Back when we first started the show, and this is not the first time you brought this up, whether or not Bill Belichick has tattoos. Back then, I had just finished covering the Patriots on a regular basis. I made calls to try and find out one way or another if Belichick had tattoos. And it was odd because no one would confirm or deny. And there were people that should know that I had talked to. No one would say anything. Very odd. It's shrouded in secrecy, whether or not he has tattoos. You have to figure if it's shrouded in that much secrecy, there is some truth to that. He must have them.
Now
But
I would
no
just
one would
like,
be specific.
I would just like to see what Jordan is up against.
I understand, but why now, Fred? Because we've seen obviously him shirtless. We've seen him on the hanging out on the deck of his. Is it
Well, he wasn't
six-
hanging. He was frantically looking for his car.
Well, no, but he's seen him out on his boat there. 6 rings, 7 rings. What's
However
it called
many
now?
it is, yes.
Yeah, however many it is. Because he insists on counting those ones from the Giants, which I don't count. You know,
Assistant coach, architect of the defense. No.
yeah, you don't get to count those.
Okay.
Once you're a head coach winning your own rings, you don't count those anymore.
Okay.
But now I'm kind of with you. I want to see the full Monty. Now I want to see everything.
Yeah, without your shirt on, it's nothing. I mean, it's the vulnerability of being completely nude.
Do you think you ever showered with the team? And some coaches do. You know, after, an early September game down in Miami and everyone's, disgusting and sweaty just from standing on the sideline for 3 hours.
Well, are the showers still? I mean, nowadays, are the showers even? Because if you go to a gym, they're not open showers anymore. I mean, they're stalls like where you can close the door. I would have to think at these new locker rooms, it's not just an open shower with spigots on the wall.
Maybe at Gillette.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Is I said because I guarantee you that like 30 years ago it was, and so I'm just wondering if it's there's no way it is now. My point is, at some point during Belichick's coaching career, I imagine it would have been, but again, 30 years ago, it's not when I'm interested in seeing him naked. I'm interested in seeing him naked now.
Right on.
He's having sex with like a 24-year-old. I want to see what she sees if he indeed keeps the lights on.
Yes.
No.
Or if they have sex during the day. Like, I want to see, like, what goes to mount him or mount her. And by the way, if he was ever on top, he would have to hold himself up, depending in thrust. It's a lot of core strength in there. And at 74, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into having sex at 74 that you might not think about if you're a younger man. Is that, say, like, he's got to hold her legs up or something you gotta position yourself up almost in a sit-up position, like a girl's sit-up position, and then meanwhile, like, you're doing a Jane Fonda with your hips. I mean, that's quite a core workout. I mean, you have to have core strength to keep yourself up like that. And I just wonder.
I thought you meant there's a lot going into it in terms of medications.
No,
statins
because
and beta blockers and ACE inhibitors.
no, they got that pretty much. To my understanding, as I do the endorsements, they have that pretty much down to a science. I don't think that's that big a deal. I'm talking about the actual activity. Not the erection. I'm talking about.
Oh, I'm not talking about the. I'm just talking about the ability for his ticker to keep. going
okay, yeah. No,
I imagine there's a lot of reverse cowgirl going on, which is no treat. Please.
Oh, so she doesn't have to look at him.
Put those gnarled 74-year-old crusted thick toenails underneath the sheet, and I'll just we'll cover that up down there, and I'll face this way. I'll look at the TV. You do whatever you need to and get your hands off my ass.
Well, then what's
No
the point of
touching.
being with the 24-year-old if you never see her? If she's just
Well, he
climbing
gets
on
to-
and you're just looking at the small of someone's back.
He gets to see her at the cheer competitions, at the adult cheerleading competitions. You can see her then.
That is true. I mean, that's got to be a real turn on. That you're dating a huge loser that's doing a cosplay activity, a high school cosplay activity. John, go ahead.
Gentlemen, good morning. I use that term loosely given what you're talking about, but, people are trying to eat breakfast right now, and what you're doing is just, it's like a giant piece of chewed gum with arms and legs and a head. For the love of God, Fred, what's going on? Is it something you want to talk about? Something you want to tell us?
No, I've told you all. I want to see it. I want to see what's going on.
Jesus, Freddie. Yeah, I don't know, buddy. Flip your health insurance card over. Call the number on the back. They want to help.
Well, it's obviously wouldn't be to arouse me. It's just out of.
I don't know. That's questionable, and that's a big question a lot of us right now that are listening have.
Oh, I please. I mean, if I'd want to see a hunk, if I wanted to see a hunk naked,
I understand. It's almost a scientific curiosity.
In fact,
that you have.
There's probably like a handful of 70 women I could stand to see naked at 74. This is anything beyond. I mean, I think it's needs to not even be said. This is not to turn me on. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe somewhere subliminally it is. But I certainly I'm sure there are 74-year-old women that look decent naked, but the vast majority of them, I would prefer not to see naked. Bill Belichick, I want to see naked. I always have.
Yeah.
And every day that goes by, I want to see it more. Plus, I just want him. I would like to have him in front of me, just standing there, very vulnerable, nude. Because he's such a fake tough guy. Like, I would like to see him just vulnerable, nude, scared, and a little embarrassed of his body.
Get that guy back on the phone and ask him if there were a Belichick and Jordan sex tape, would he not look at it?
Oh, well, I wouldn't even ask him because the answer is yes. And if he said, if he would be being disingenuous if he didn't say yes. He had a funny line with the chewed gum.
I like the health insurance card too.
Here's the problem thing. The problem is I've done it so many times.
You got it saved as a favorite on your phone.
Absolutely, I'm calling him all the time. Like the thing is that the sex tape would suck, and I can tell you why. It goes to the Gene Simmons sex tape. Gene Simmons had a sex tape, and he's more famous than Bret Michaels. He's, I think he's as famous as Tommy Lee, really, but not as famous as Pam Anderson. But anyway, when Kim Kardashian's sex tape first came out, she wasn't famous. But no one ever talks about the Gene Simmons sex tape. And the woman's really attractive, but I can tell you why they don't talk about it. Is Gene just basically takes his pants down to mid-thigh and lays down. And then the attractive woman does everything else. And so it's just Gene laying there. And so you don't get more than a minute into it before you bag out because you're just like, oh, nothing's going on.
Yeah.
And so that's why the sex tape is pretty much unnecessary. And I don't need to see Jordan have sex. I really don't have any desire to see her have sex. I just want to, in fact, that takes away from it because then he's into something. I want him unaroused, standing in a well-lit room. That's what I want. Just vulnerable.
Fluorescent lights?
Whatever. I just want him,
That's harsh.
I want him in a room, like a well-lit room, nude, just standing there with his arms at his sides. And you can make him twirl around, and he has to stand there, as vulnerable as any of us while nude. I bet if you asked a bunch of the writers that covered him, if they would do a thing where they just put a spotlight on him and you got to go in a room and tell him for 5 minutes to turn around and do different stuff nude, that they would take that opportunity.
Index finger on the very top of your head, and I want you to turn slowly, like a little ballerina.
Not even that you can make him do anything, that he just had to stand with his arms to his sides and stand in front of you nude and then turn to the side and then turn around and he had to just sit there vulnerable. That would be interesting to me because he's someone who has put forth this gruff, tough, I don't give a crap exterior, and everyone while they're nude, unless you're, some kind of hunk, you feel vulnerable.
Vulnerable and humiliated. And it would be the ultimate payback for all the humiliation that he's inflicted upon people over the years.
But the problem is if you asked any of the writers if they'd want to see that, they'd all stammer and say no. And then it would be annoying because they wouldn't understand they get caught up in the sexuality of it and they wouldn't really follow through with what they would want.
They're children. You can't have a serious conversation with writers. They always take it to a very base place.
In a way, they are. In a way, they can be childish, though, because they get uncomfortable when it's anything that they deem to be outside of the box. Like they could never like really think about it. They would be so caught up in the like nether man naked thing that they couldn't think of how rewarding it would be, and that would annoy me. Because even if they didn't want to, truly didn't want to, at least you could see why they could see how it could seem from afar to be appealing. But they would not follow me on that. And I would not like that. It would annoy me. Because I'm like, you're not picturing it right. You're picturing it being like uncomfortable for you, but that's not what it is.
You need to find a group of like-minded individuals and sit down and really hash this thing out and come up with some different ideas for your fantasy.
I wonder if you went to Jordan Hudson and you said, I'm going to use your production company. Like, I will use your production company. Like, you and you can have all the control of the marketing, of the like fonts that we use, of all the digital stuff that we use. But you can book the venue, you can pretend that you're in charge of everything. But it's just the bottom line is you're not in it unless you want to be, but you can be clothed if you're in it. You can be the host. You can cheerlead like before and after it. You give her like this big opportunity, but Bill's gonna have to stand naked for 5 minutes.
Yes.
I wonder if she'd at least pitch him the idea.
Sure, and include the fact that there will be a lavish premiere.
Yes. And we'll invite like real celebrities that have to be nice to you.
There could be awards going on.
I don't think it needs to be that complicated.
Yeah. You know what? You'll end up getting an invitation to the Oscars. I'm not saying that this particular piece is going to be recognized in any way, but you'll be in that circle. You'll be photographed, and you'll be fawned over, and yes.
And whoever directs it will treat you as an equal. like a real person,
like a real grown up.
Yeah, like a real grown up who knows what they're doing. They're going to be like really good, and they'll treat you like a grown up. So that I wonder if she would balk at that. Anyway, someone should put that together. It would be nice if we could see Bill naked. That's all. Doesn't have to be on TV either. It could just be like a one night only. Bill naked on stage at the Wilbur.
Would you settle for still photographs?
Yeah, I mean, I would like still photographs, but again, it's just having to stand there nude. Like if it was a still photograph of him in the room with Jordan, she like took a candid of him, then I might even feel sorry for him because like he didn't want that to get out. It would have to be like in front of me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm trying to figure out a way we can get this done. I want to find out what's going to satisfy and what's not going to quite get you there.
Oh yeah, well look, my idea is out there. I mean, it's certainly out there.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that. All right, when we come back, we will take you through everything that happened last night. The Red Sox played the national championship game. Was very late in the evening. We can have all of that for you in just a moment.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.
Hey, Rodenheiser Home Services wants to get you into the game. So go to the 98.5 The Sports Hub contest page and enter for your chance to win a $500 gift card to put toward the tickets to the game of your choice. Rules and restrictions apply. Plus, Rodenheiser is offering $89 system checks for heating or AC systems. Book now at Rodenheiser.com.
Boost your brand and support the community. Wyndham Woods School's new 125,000 square foot athletics and conference center will welcome 100,000 visitors a year. Join our 70 corporate partners at www.dome.org.
Hey, it's Zoe. Introducing Mike from North Attleboro.
I was on a trend where I was about to go over 250 pounds. My cholesterol was getting higher. Since I've gone on the Awaken 180 plan, by the way, I've lost about 50 points on my cholesterol. So I went in for my blood panel within about 60 days of starting the program, and it dropped about 50 points through my doctor. So he went on the plan. My own doctor, as a cardiologist, went on the plan because he was so impressed. He knew what my stomach looked like. He knew my build. I came in, and he just was astounded by the blood panel results. If I hadn't found Awaken 180, I probably would be on cholesterol medicine, higher blood pressure medicine. It was just a life of medication in front of me, and I didn't want that.
Mike, his doctor, and I all took control of our health thanks to Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Become your own success story and call 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800. Online at awaken180weightloss.com.
This is crunch time. Don't cut corners with your lawn. Velvet Green Organic Lawn Care proudly serves the North Shore with organic, healthier lawn solutions. Visit velvetgreenlawn.com. Velvet Green Organic Lawn Care.
Interested in GLP-1 weight loss medications but nervous about injections? Finally, some good news. Ness Healthcare now offers GLP-1 weight loss pills, meaning no shots required. You can now experience the appetite control and weight loss support people are talking about without the need.
Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Did you catch a game last night?
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. I believe this is the Schindler's List episode of Seinfeld. Because it's a later episode where his parents are staying in the apartment. That's the only one that would make sense, correct?
Yeah, one of the early ones. It feels about right. The one that was on just before it was Newman serving as his lawyer, trying to get out of a speeding ticket. He was trying to race home because Kramer was distraught because he had never become a banker.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because when they're at his house very early in the show, it's a different dad. If you
Oh,
recall.
yeah. Season 1.
Man. All right. So what happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happened. So change your lettuce and change your life with Dr. Matthew Lepresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR. Hardy, what would you like to start with?
Let's start with the Red Sox. Taking on the Milwaukee Brewers last night. John over there shaking his head. What? Hey.
I wish you had started with basketball. Okay.
What?
Yeah, he doesn't want to talk about this. He likes the Red Sox.
You want offense? We got offense for you.
Leonard first breaking, little pop up into right. Freelick, a long run coming on. It dumps down. The run is in. Throw into second base, and they're on the corners. The Red Sox strike first.
Yeah, a little RBI single there.
Trevor Story, he was about 0 for a million, hit a flare into right field that Freelick, who's really fast, couldn't quite get to. So it's an RBI single.
Yeah.
It is.
Boston College's Freelick. He's a local kid, too.
Lexington, Mass. Yep.
When the coach at BC, Gambino at the time, when Freelick was in high school, knew right away that he wanted him to play at BC despite his size. He said he was very special, a special athlete. And now he's in the major leagues where he's having great success. Not this year, but generally. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I have a question for you about this particular highlight, John.
Ground ball and off the glove of the shortstop Hamilton into center field, and the Red Sox have tied the game. Cedar Rafaela hitting it sharply enough, and the Red Sox have evened it up.
It's a base hit. They scored a run.
Durbin scored on that one.
Mm-hmm.
How did he get on base?
Oh, it was a base hit. He actually got on base.
What?
Line drive single to left.
I missed that play.
I know. He was also 0 for a million before that. Going into the game last night, Caleb Durbin was 2 for 28.
Yeah.
For the season.
He was batting .77, I believe. Going
that is
into
correct.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Contreras had himself an evening.
Flare to right along the line, dropping. It's in, and bounces into the stands as a run scores. It'll go for a double, and the Red Sox are back in front against Milwaukee.
Close to the same spot Story hit his, only Contreras hit a little further down the line, so it kicked up into the stand. So,
5-4.
Base hit, yeah.
Plenty of offense. Defensively, there's still some issues with this team.
Mitchell lines it into left field for a hit. Terang is being waved around. Anthony's throw is well offline. Here comes Yelich to the plate. Covering is the pitcher. Safe. Yelich somehow avoided Whitlock's tag, and 2 runs score.
Yeah,
they'd review that one.
A lot of stuff going on there. A terrible throw by Anthony. A terrible tag by Whitlock. A lot going on during that play. I saw that play live. And you know, that was to put Milwaukee ahead by 2.
It was a tie game before that play.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's why 2 runs, they got up by 2. And there was just a lot of terribleness on that. Did the runner score from first on the missed throw?
I gotta look back.
Because he hesitated at third for a while and then saw that the ball got by. And then he took off late, and they should have had him dead to rights at home.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't get, and Whitlock couldn't get the tag down, and he did beat it. They reviewed it in
first and second when he singled the left. So
right.
yes, and then Mitchell wound up on third base.
Right, and so so he scored from first, but he hesitated at third, obviously because of the throw. But the throw was so far down the line, and the catcher had to go so far for it that he took off, but he shouldn't have. Because he waited too long,
right?
But then he took off, and Whitlock got a terrible tag down. I mean, the ball had him beat by, 3 feet, and then Whitlock couldn't get the tag down, and he got his hand in.
Yeah, if it's not one thing, it's another. I mean, Whitlock just got back from paternity leave. He comes in a tie game, walks 2 guys, and it immediately gets himself into trouble with the base hit. The other part of this is Roman Anthony, and Anthony fielded that single in shallow left field, and still the runner on second with the play in front of him was waved home. That should never happen. But B, the throw, the Milwaukee Brewers announcer said it was offline. That doesn't do it justice. I mean, that from short left field, that ball was thrown midway between third base and home plate.
Yes.
And Whitlock wasn't backing up, so it goes all the way to the backstop. You were talking about bad defense. There was bad defense by about 3 different guys on that play. I don't know what it is with Roman Anthony. He's DH'd a little bit more than usual to start the season, and then you see that throw from left, and you're thinking maybe there's a reason for that. Very strange stuff.
The throw was offline, but it also had a lot of movement on it.
Yeah, had a nice little tail to it.
Well,
That's
it's
a good
funny.
point.
Nasty pitch.
It's showing right here. It's showing on my screen again, and he throws that pretty much just like into the ground.
Yeah. The
Like, it
ball
hits-
landed next
so-
to the mound.
So
It was
yeah,
weird.
Yeah, well, not that close to home, but yes, it landed about the area that the mound is in terms of latitude.
Yes.
But it was in that no man's
Or
land between
longitude.
the mound and third base.
Yes, exactly. He kind of just like threw it into the ground. It's kind of weird. Like John said, he's in shallow left and he throws the ball. Yeah, and it lands, like between third and the third base line and the mound, but it lands at about like the depth of the mound. So he threw that ball probably 40 feet?
Maybe. No. But the thing is, the third base umpire immediately upon seeing that Roman Anthony was going to field the baseball, waved that guy in from second base. I mean, that should never happen. Even if Manny waved that, well, he was on second when third base coach. But even Manny Ramirez, if he's out there, you stop that guy at third. There's something going on there. Either it's well known around the league that Roman Anthony doesn't have a good arm, or they know his arm is
and that's why
subpar, or he's hurt, or I don't know what it is.
The yips?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Whitlock should have had him.
Yes. First he should have backed up the play on the throw home, but yeah.
There was more drama to come in this game, though. Apparently, there's some history between Wilson Contreras and the Milwaukee Brewers.
Did he get him again? Yeah, he did. He hit him again.
Sixth.
For the sixth time, his brother comes out and walks him up the first
All right,
base
so let's
line.
stop this for a minute. Okay, so Contreras has been hit a lot by Milwaukee. He's been hit a lot. I mean, I didn't know this, but before the game, he'd been hit a lot by Woodruff in his career. Fine. And so you would go, oh, he's getting pretty pissed off. That ball, in the very loosest sense, hit him.
Didn't hit him.
Didn't hit him. Like, that ball, like, grazed a particle of his batting glove.
And it wasn't like the ball was thrown inside either. It wasn't thrown at him.
And
it was
so-
a high pitch that might have been 3 inches off the plate.
And if you don't know, Contreras' brother is the catcher for Milwaukee. And so they asked Contreras' brother through translator after the game what was going on. He's like, that's how my brother likes to play. He gets all like fired up. And I guarantee you, because Contreras was 3 for 3 with a home run last night, that he was all pumping himself up and everything. That had everything to do with getting himself all fired up. If this team was better, I don't know if he would have gotten that upset. Like, there's a lot of things going on that I think were besides being angry at Milwaukee. Now, I getting it, because when I first heard he'd been hit that much, and you're like, okay, I get it. Like, you get up kind of like, if they hit me, I'm going to be super pissed, and they hit you, and then that you blow up. But he didn't get hit. I mean, that pitch was not at him by any stretch of the imagination. No. Like, he didn't get his hands. He had his hands extended out, and he like barely got him back. So getting pissed about that is nonsense. And by the way, Woodruff was not afraid of him, and Woodruff was approaching him down the first base line. So Contreras didn't particularly look good, because Contreras is sitting there bitching and moaning, and Woodruff is not intimidated at all by him, and Woodruff's a big guy too, so it didn't seem like Woodruff would have been afraid of Contreras at all. So then Contreras after the game is screaming and yelling that they hit me again, and then he spiked the shortstop on a grounder. The shortstop's covering second. He spiked them and tore his pants. But the thing is that. Okay, so you spiked that guy. I'd hit him again today. I'd hit Contreras again and get it in the fine. And then what are you gonna do? You take someone out, then I hit you again. Just keep hitting you.
Well, you know what? You keep poking that bear, and this is liable to happen again.
Swinging a high drive, deep left field. Forget about this. Home run for Wilson Contreras, his second of the season. He got all of it. The Sox pull it in 8-6.
Took a little extra time rounding the bases, which is really cool when you're down 3 runs.
And that's the thing, is that if they were to hit him and Contreras would go out and do something, it's so incredibly selfish. Like, that whole demonstrative nonsense. Look, he got himself going and he had a good game. But, you know, he seems like, I don't think he's this type of player either. He seems just completely over this team and kind of caught up into his own world right now. It seems to all be counter what's going on with the team. Yeah, he pimped a home run when they were not going to win a game. They're in bad shape. Yeah. I mean, the team's
that's the
in
thing.
very bad shape.
All of this is tone deaf. They still can't field the baseball. And it's one thing after another. When they pitch, they don't hit. When they hit, and they have the last couple of games, they don't pitch. I mean, Garrett Whitlock's the last guy you think would come in and have problems, but this is where they are. And they're 2-8. It matches their worst 10-game start in 80 years. I mean, this is a historically bad start.
It's tied with their worst start ever. Is my understanding of the situation.
Worst 10-game start. I don't know if it's ever.
Well, they've only played 10 games, so yes, it's tied for the worst 10-game start in the history of the organization. Yes. So you can say go back 80 years, but then you can go back further than that, and you're not going to find anything worse.
I didn't see this coming, and Hardy and I were talking a little bit beforehand. This team isn't devoid of talent. They have talented ball players, a lot of which made the playoffs last year. And here we are. The rotation is far better this year than last year. Last year, you had to start Connerly early in a winner-take-all game. You had Peyton Tolley pitching down the stretch. You had Crochet and just a bunch of other guys. Bale ran out of gas at the end of last year. And here you are. You've spent money. You've traded. You've made sure your rotation is better. And you're 2-8. This shouldn't be happening. There's something really, really wrong here. It goes beyond what you see on the field. I don't know what it is, but this team is right back where they were last year. They look like little leaguers fielding the baseball at this moment.
And if you listen to what the Brewers said when they were asked about Contreras after the game, they were just like, yeah, he's putting on his little show again.
Yeah. It's like nothing we haven't seen for the last 7 or 8 years.
I think Yelich said something like essentially, I think almost exactly like that. Yeah, he's putting on his little performance again. He's putting on his little show. Oh, he loves to do this. He gets himself psyched up, and then he he has a good game. But this can't be what's required over what is he going to probably play 145 games this year?
Well,
this can't be required for you to do this 145 times. You can't be spazzing out every time a ball drifts within 8 inches of you. I don't know if you can start. He didn't get pegged in the head.
Fred, maybe it just grazed his knuckle, and ooh, that could really smart. If it just sometimes it hurts worse than actually getting pegged.
He obviously knows this guy's hit him a lot because you would remember that it hurts. And so he knows, and so he probably got in pissed off already. And he goes, this guy hits me. And then so you can understand that you would get pissed. But then watch it. Like, this is not a pitch that he ran inside on him. Like, this is not something that he had to move his body away. It doesn't look like it hit him. I swear they had him replay it. It was so bad they had him replay it. But apparently, it just has to touch you. It doesn't have to bounce off you. It just has to. A lace has to touch the fabric of your clothing. I mean, people get hit. This is way worse. But people get hit on the uniform and it doesn't hit their body, and that counts as a hit. But that ball's obviously way more inside than that. But I guess if you turn your back and it hits the fringe of your uniform, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, let's put it this way. You and I wouldn't want that pitching on us. But if you were a major leaguer and you're facing hitters.
You've seen it 100,000 times.
Exactly. That's not sending a message or doing anything. That was nothing. That pitch was nothing.
Well, they're going to fix everything tonight. Garrett Crochet goes to the mound.
They'll probably win tonight. I mean, Crochet can't have. Highly doubt it's going to have 2 bad starts in a row, and they'll probably win.
Like the early start tonight, 6:45.
Well, they all cold weather teams should have 6:45 starts because I'll tell you what, my son, I didn't have to go to it because he didn't pitch, but my son had a game yesterday. He said it's one of the coldest he's ever been. I mean, it's ridiculous. He's got a game tomorrow that I think I have to go to. It might be 38 degrees when that game starts, and that's a 3:30 game.
Marcy has to go to the Red Sox game tonight. She said, you want to go? I said, no, thank you.
Isn't she in a box?
Yeah.
So she can just sit in the box.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't even want to walk to the park, though.
It's snowing in parts of Massachusetts this morning.
No. It's
cold.
Yeah.
No, we're not a spring sport state. There's no question about it. We are really not a spring sport state. That's why getting hit by a pitcher, getting spiked last night, no fun. Not in that weather. Ouch. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by South.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. Hardy, there was a basketball game last evening.
Yes, the University of Michigan Wolverines playing in the national championship game against the University of Connecticut. Oh, look at Michigan out there.
Mara guides it over to McKinney. Break opportunity. Lendeboer takes it to the rim. Baker, no. Slam down. Gale devours it.
I wish they would just start this game later, year after year. What's with the 9-something start time? Let's wait till 10. Get it going around 10:30.
Sad part is they started at 8:50 last night. That's early for when Jim Nance was doing it. That used to be like 9:20. They start.
Did it actually? I didn't see the very beginning of it. Did it start on time?
8:50.
Oh. It was.
I don't think it started at 8:50, did it?
I wasn't there for the very start, but the game was underway at 9.
You seem pretty definitive when it started.
No,
John.
I don't think it started.
On ESPN, it said the start time was 8:50. I tuned in at 9. The game had already started.
But you weren't. I mean, you're not a reliable narrator because
you are correct. I could have this completely wrong.
Every kid on that Michigan team, I think, except for Cadeau, is a transfer.
Yes, they had a graphic up during the game of all the players. I think Lindenberg came from UAB. They had a bunch of guys, like 6 guys in their
Cadeau
rotation.
is a transfer, too, from UNC.
Nice.
So they're all transfers.
Yeah.
College basketball is in a real good place. Just let them all transfer in. I mean, the Michigan's best player, he wasn't their best player last night, but their best player, he's been on the team for 1 year. The big, tall kid's been on the team for 1 year. It's a real situation. By the way, Danny Hurley's a phenomenal coach, if you didn't know. The idea that he kept the game that close when the talent discrepancy was that high is really something. And they were, a couple plays away from winning that thing. This is a team that needed a miracle shot to get by Duke. They needed to hang on against Michigan State, and they're not an extraordinarily talented team, and they went up against that Michigan team of superstar transfers. 2 of them are grad students. I mean, these kids are old. They got the big hero on Connecticut's teams, probably 19 years old, and they hung around, and that was all because of Hurley.
Hurley, obviously they did a sideline interview during the game, and Hurley said, "We're trying to drag them down into a game that we can win."
Too.
Yeah.
Like, wow, all right.
Yeah, but because Michigan, I blew out everyone they played in the tournament, including Arizona, and the coach of Arizona said, the thing I've learned about Michigan, which I thought was interesting, is that you have to play them a couple times to figure them out. Maybe that explains why the Big Ten schedule for them was so tight and how they lost to Purdue in the Big Ten championship game is that it takes a while to figure them out. And so, Hurley hadn't played them. So Hurley plays them, and they keep it that tight. Connecticut was putting it on, I guess, at the end. I went to bed, but putting it on a little bit at the end, and, in an attempt to come back in that game.
They were down 6 with the ball with a little over a minute to go. They miss. Michigan comes back down and hits a 3, and the game's over.
There you go. So you hit a 3 there, you're down 3. It's a one-possession game, and anything can happen. So just the idea that it was that close and that low scoring, I think, is a big tip in the cap to Hurley. He didn't even seem that upset after the game, because I'd imagine he was like, even him. I mean, listen to the scores in this tournament. Michigan 101-80. That's against Howard. 95-72 against St. Louis. 90-77 against Alabama. 95-62 against Tennessee. 91-73 against Arizona. That game 69-63. And first of all, Michigan's got to be happy with that score because it's a kick-ass number.
It's a kick-ass number. It was look. I did not expect UConn to win the game, but 6.5 point spread, 69-63 final. I'll take it.
There you
It's going
go.
to cover some Masters bets for me this week. Thank you very much. But you're right, Fred. Hurley not all that upset afterwards.
That's a formidable opponent and a worthy champion. They've been the best team the whole year, and we obviously the end of the first half, just having the 3 guys out with 2 fouls when we had the lead, losing that lead at halftime, I think just put us behind the 8 ball a bit.
Yes, it did. So, University of Michigan, first national championship for them in 37 years.
Which is weird because I remember the last time they won the national championship very well.
Well, it's so weird because that was 1989. Didn't the Fab Five come after that?
Yeah,
They must have won all the. They're so fabulous. Those 5 players. How many national championships did they win?
They won 0.
Oh, that's right. Because they stink.
They got to the finals in back-to-back years.
They got finals with the 5 freshmen, which now it would be impossible because of the transferring.
Right, you wouldn't be able to.
Because now you're playing against paid 27-year-old kids that are new to the program.
Out of those Fab Five, who knows what they did in high school? Who cares? But beyond that, did any of them win it all other than Howard with the Bulls? Was he on the Bulls?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was he? I know.
Jalen Rose, for all I know, won something because he played at 7,000 places. So I don't know if he was on a team that won or not.
Weber never did.
No, Weber never did. Weber's in the Hall of Fame.
Jimmy King and Ray Jackson were never NBA players, right?
Well, no, Jimmy King played in the NBA.
Okay.
Ray Jackson's the only guy that didn't play in the NBA. Jimmy King played, not forever, but he played for a few years in the NBA. That I know for a fact. I followed that team very closely. They were 2 years older than me. So, and I went to high school with Weber there for a while. I got kicked out the year he graduated. I don't think there's any coincidence for that. They wanted to get rid of all the notable alumni in one fell swoop. So I understood that. Me and Weber are the only 2 super famous people to come out of there. You should have seen when Weber was a senior. Holy moly. You'd have Bobby Knight. There was a game with Bobby Knight, Krzyzewski, Steve Fisher, obviously. No, not Steve Fisher. Yeah, Steve Fisher. Like the crowd, whatever was happening in college basketball, all these coaches had the night off, and they all came to Birmingham, Michigan, to watch Chris Webber in this game. It was nuts. I still haven't seen anything like it. I guess it wasn't like that for Battier either, who went to Country Day, but he's a few years younger than me. But I mean, I've never seen anything like Webber. He played Jalen Rose played for Southwestern, which was a public school in Detroit that was 2 divisions higher than Country Day, and they played at the Palace. One game they played at the Palace, and it was like crowded. Like there was probably 10,000 people at that game, paid attendance to see Jalen Rose and Vashawn Leonard against Webber, and Webber almost beat him.
Yeah.
Rose made the finals once. He played for Larry Bird in Indiana, and that was the Indiana team that gave Michael Jordan a run for his money in his last year there in Chicago. So he didn't win, but he made the finals.
Yeah, and so 4 of them went to the NBA. Howard's the only one that ended up winning. Ray Jackson owns a moving company now.
Okay.
In Austin.
I mean, a championship between the 4 of them in the NBA is not exactly a slap in the face to their legacies. I mean,
yes, it is.
I'm just trying to.
Five, they're so fabulous. These guys are going to rewrite basketball history.
There was nothing wrong with the recruiting.
Basketball will never be the same after these guys came onto the scene.
Jalen Rose wound up at Michigan, as did his high school coach as an assistant.
I mean, let's be honest.
Nothing shady there.
Let's be honest. Everyone knew that was all shady. Like that now Rose and Weber going to the same team wasn't, but then Juwan Howard, who's the best player in Illinois, is all of a sudden popping over to Michigan. Like that doesn't make any sense. All right, look, we got to come back. We will be back in just a moment because I saw the magnolias, whatever the hell the flowers are. Augusta National is back. It's on
Magnolia Lane. You got it.
Yeah, buddy, I got it. I do got it.
It takes you right down to the clubhouse.
Right down to the Arby's. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
here. The elites have started to move in on Augusta, Georgia for 6 days a year that anyone that makes over $15,000 a year enters the city limits of Augusta, Georgia. The Masters is about to take off, and you can watch us talk about the Masters on YouTube. If you subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube, you can download our podcast anywhere. And Mark Dandereo, who is in his non-radio life, actually, in all sincerity, an excellent person who's doing a lot of good for the world. He is an educator and does great things.
And a lover of the game of golf.
But I do want to say that he is in off air, because I'm going to make fun of him here and you're not. But I do want to say beforehand that Mark Dandereo is as a human being is a excellent human being, better than me by far, which is a low bar, understood. But I can only compare him to me. But Hardy, you are all jazzed up about the Masters. I give you a hard time because of like how racist it is and how boring it is and how it's for boring people. But nonetheless, you are not on an island here.
It hasn't been that racist in several years.
Right. But it's not even that I care that it's racist so much as it bothers you. I'm not displaying myself as a hero.
With racism.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Especially in this day and age. I feel like I'm pretty much...
You've been given carte blanche.
Oh, yeah, I'm running wild. No, if there's ever been a time in my life I realized, hey, compared to everyone else, even in my own brain, I'm way better than most people. But nonetheless, not in terms of my racism. I am not. I don't find myself to be racist. But nonetheless, Mark Dandereo, he does weekends here and he fills in. I think he's going to fill in for us while we're gone because all of us are sadly not going to be here for the marathon. But he will be on the air, and so he does some things online. And Ryan seems to be on the forefront of everything that Mark Dandereo is doing online. But Ryan seems to have his finger on the pulse of what Mark Dandero's up to. He's always bringing us things that Mark Dandero's done.
Similar statures. They have a kinship there, and I think he's a fan. And I have not yet heard this either, but it's about the Masters, and I'll consume all things having to do with the Masters. So yeah, I'm curious to hear this.
So Dandereo just put this on like Twitter. Here we go. Yeah, let Ryan get loose.
Yeah, he posted this on Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to stretch again before I... Now, do you know why he put this on Twitter?
I think he's just a big fan, and he has a background in TV, so he decided to get a little creative.
All right, so here we go. So Mark Dandereo he had to get on Twitter. He had to get this out. The world needed to hear his opinion. And so Mark Dandereo took to Twitter...
Which I think a lot of us feel that way these days. I can't tell you how many times a day I'm tweeting now. It's dozens, hundreds sometimes. I'm constantly on that thing, getting my thoughts out there. It's an important platform that we're all consuming a lot.
Well, Barrett Media just had a thing. The three most engaged Twitter accounts in the world are the guy that was just in the FBI that quit because he couldn't hack it, the bald guy, Clay Travis, and Tucker Carlson. So I think there's a very big right-wing white male presence on Twitter.
Yeah.
Which is great. So you can just...
That's why I'm there.
Right.
Oh, Adam, you're not like that at all. You're a big softy. You're what they call woke. You know? Big pussy. All right. So...
Make with the Masters talk. Let's go.
Oh, yes, sir. This is how you talk to people at the Masters, huh? To him, I'm a minority now.
Everyone settles in.
Yeah. Make with it. Make with it. Chop, chop.
They make
chop, chop, boy.
They make room and accommodations for all sorts of people. For instance, if you're a groundskeeper at another golf course, they will actually invite you to come down and volunteer your time for 6 weeks before the tournament to help spread mulch and pull weeds, and you can do that. They will allow you onto the grounds to go work for free.
How do you
for
know
more than a month? It's because
How do you know that?
Because it's true.
So what did old people just do that?
No, some young able-bodied professionals will do it just as a way to get on the grounds and to be a part of the event.
Can you play?
No, you can't play. Stop it.
They won't let you play the course after hours or
No.
something? So you just get the pleasure of pulling weeds there?
And spreading mulch.
All right. Well, that involves poo, so I like that. All right, so here we go. Here is Dandereo taking to Twitter to address the people of the world.
I never got this far in my dreams. In golf, it almost seems
Oh,
like...
boy. So he's put a little
production value to this.
I like it. John, what was he saying at the very beginning?
I have no idea.
Back
sure
it
you
up.
want to hear it
You have to
again?
back it up and play it again.
No, what? Okay, what was that?
I think you should have dumped it. I don't think you should have played that
Oh,
at
it's
all.
very sexual?
Yeah.
That's Dandero's fault for not speaking bird. Please don't report him because it's unfair to him.
Just can't do random stuff willy-nilly. You got to check first.
No, well, I mean, John's got a huge erection now, so
It
I
is
can only
mating
imagine what
season.
they're talking about. It has something to do with bird butts. It's raining. It's raining white rain.
Which
now.
bird has the fattest ass?
I'll have to look into that. I know what? I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, they all look the same to him. He just wants to put it in them. He didn't even care.
That's right.
Just somewhere to put it. That's the way he looks.
A warm place to put it.
That's right. It's almost like it's just their things to be used.
I never got this far in my dreams. In golf, it almost seems like the less you care, the better off you are.
Is that him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is him.
Is
That's
he
him.
cosplaying as an ESPN guy at the Masters?
Could be.
He sounds like Shap.
He does sound like Shaq.
Yeah.
Dickie Shap. I saw him put Rogaine on his head on an airplane one time.
But it's hard, because if you love the game, you care about your score and certainly about the Masters.
Do you? Is that too bold a statement?
He's making a lot of sense so far, and there's great value in not caring, especially in golf. You just can't care. You just have to. It's almost a Zen-like experience.
So the
Fred.
guys who have
I'm glad you brought this up because I was quoting Dr. Joseph Parent last week on the show. I'm sure you remember about make every putt. And really, Fred, it's just a matter of rolling the putt on the line you want at the speed you want. And whether it goes in or not has got nothing to do with you. The ball going in the hole, you have to change the way you think about making a putt. Did I make my putt? Yes. Did it go in? Well, that's a different conversation.
Hardy went to the Boston Public Library to photocopy every page of a book that only had one copy in existence in the Northeast on chipping. He went to he researched it. He went to the Boston Public Library. He talked to a librarian. They went into some room. They brought him out the book. He had to put
White gloves
on. And it was like when he looked at the Mapplethorpe photos, he had to put on his gloves and go through them. And he went out there and then he said, "Can I photocopy these?" And they said, "You got 10 minutes. So in a rush, he had to photocopy the book and then he binded it together and then he read it.
I forgot to bring it in. I will bring it in tomorrow. We'll show it to you.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Because I have an appointment at the library on Wednesday to do it myself.
Hello, friends. Jim Nance here, and welcome to this tradition unlike any other, the Masters on CBS.
Some even believe winning a green jacket is the most prestigious feat in golf.
Wow.
Who believes that?
And thank God he got on Twitter to do this, so you can't even do it.
Well, I mean, it's debatable. Is it the U.S. Open? Is it the Open Championship? Is it a Masters green jacket? Yes, some believe it, not all.
So the
But
take
some.
is that professional golfers playing in the Masters want to win it.
And that some believe it's the most prestigious thing you can win. Yes, continue.
Even more so than winning the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach, the Open at St. Andrews, or the Ryder Cup. But what?
Those are all three events in golf.
Right. He didn't mention the PGA Championship, the often disregarded
The redheaded
step
stepchild.
sibling of the major championships.
Do you even watch that?
Yeah, of course.
But what is it about this tournament? Why am I such a rabid patron?
Oh, you hate blacks.
No, he doesn't.
That's not
not.
true.
He does not.
That's not. Mark doesn't. That's not.
And
That's as good a guess as any.
I like the fact that he's using the word patron because you're not allowed to call them fans when you're doing the broadcast at Augusta. They are patrons.
Yeah, if you're the guy with the mustache, they won't even let you cover it. The guy from Tin Cup.
McCord.
He was too much of a wild card.
Well, he said that the greens were so fast they had been bikini waxed, and they did not like that commentary.
No, they like their women hairy. And in the kitchen.
It has nothing to do with that. It's just making a reference to the pubic region, and they thought that was
That was enough to ban him for life?
It was too loose a reference to a woman, so they couldn't have that.
Wow.
And count only one's in there.
No, there's more than one, and she's been in there. It's like, again, several years ago they admitted their first
It's
woman.
like 10 years ago.
It was like 15.
And why does this one feel like the major championship? Maybe it's the name, the Masters.
I hadn't thought of it. I hadn't thought of that.
Is
Could
it because
be.
they call it the Masters? Like you would be the master of your...
No, but he's cooking, and he's getting,
Plantation?
he's building up to it. That would be number one. You know what? I believe Dandereo, in a smart essayist, is going to dismiss that notion early on. He'll throw it out there for the likes of you and the other rubes, but no, it's not because they call it the Masters.
Is it because they call it the Masters and because it's played on a plantation?
It's not.
Back to when things made sense?
It's not.
Does it harken back to a time when we actually were agriculturally sound as a country?
Yes,
'Cause
all
we
the
had
plantations that
affordable
raised
workers?
azaleas. Yes. No, it's not on a plantation. Stop.
Well, it's called the Masters, which is what they would call the person who
Yes,
ran
people who have mastered the game. Yes.
Well, you don't think it's any coincidence that Augusta? You want to do the?
It is.
Why don't you read the Wikipedia, the history of Augusta?
It's an unfortunate coincidence, yes, but it has nothing to do with antebellum South.
If you Hardy
pre-antebellum.
looked at the history of Augusta, like the city of Augusta, and it was so bad we couldn't read it on the air.
It really is.
We're not kidding.
There was
Because I made the point, like, why is Augusta a city? Geographically, it doesn't make sense that it's a city, and then we found out why it's a city, and it all has to do with supporting the Confederacy.
Well, and then
Confederacy.
some really ugly incidents in the 70s.
Like it's not a good place.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the buildup and the ads that start hyping April during cold January nights. Perhaps it's Augusta National and its exclusivity, the Illuminati of golf.
Yeah, he's on my page.
Makes sense.
See, the exclusivity of it doesn't appeal to me. That I don't think that it does add an element of intrigue, but it's not what makes it the best tournament to watch. No.
Scott just texted me and said it's so racist. He knows.
After all, there is no other course on earth where I know the name of a creek or a corner or a cabin or the street that leads to them.
Yeah, or the quarters.
First of all, if you're referring to Butler Cabin, that's where the amateurs will stay when they're on property,
Right.
because
the unpaid.
The amateurs who get invited by virtue of winning the U.S. Mid-Amateur or the U.S. Amateur, you can get invited there as a non-professional. It is an invitational.
I thought that was
and
the
they
clubhouse.
prepare the course with the labor is, as you just addressed earlier, the labor
A lot
is,
of the labor is there on a voluntary basis.
They use unpaid labor to tend to the grounds.
Again, an unfortunate coincidence. Nothing more. There's no metaphor there. You're trying to find one, though. It's not there.
It's really hard to get.
People are there of their own free will.
I'm sorry. I'm stretching the truth.
There's the ceremonial tee shot, the azaleas, and the intense pressure, the kind that breeds incomprehensible misses,
And hate.
unbelievable makes, and unforgettable drama.
In your life, have you seen anything like that?
It's the unique.
No.
Nicholas, 86.
Yeah, that ball rolling into the hole. It's like, woof. Holy moly. What a sight.
It's the unique trophy. It's Jim Nantz. It's finally spring.
What's so unique about the trophy?
It's made of the crowd of compressed bones of.
It's made of tears.
Certain unfortunate too.
It's just it's a cup of tears
wandered onto the grounds.
It's where they bury the homeless.
It makes me want to shine my clubs, play 36, and...
You're going to shine them?
Makes me want to get my shoes shined. Shut up! Don't say that. No.
That's unfortunate.
It makes me want to shine my clubs, play 36, and clear my schedule for 4 straight days. Because I don't want to miss another 86 or 97 or what'll happen on the back nine on Sunday. Just show me some sun and some temperatures in the 60s, and somebody present me with the remote control.
Again, John, anything there?
Dandero's the best. That's what they were saying.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Masters.
Pretty good.
Well, thank God that was put on the internet. Very good.
Well, you learned something.
I did. I learned that it's called the Masters and that it's warm.
Yeah.
And that occasionally it's good. It seems like 97 was the last time.
86, 97. Well, last year, somebody was ranking the Masters wins, and they had Rory ahead of, well, Tigers in 97, I think, and maybe Nicklaus in 86 ended up being number one. Rory's win last year was great for him, but I still think he choked that tournament away. The fact that he made double down on 15 and then missed that putt on the 72nd hole, and he had to win it in sudden death. I mean, yes, he won it, and he had a brilliant shot into the 18th on the sudden death, but he choked it away before that. He should have never been in sudden death.
I just think that there were so many people watching it.
Yeah.
That got and it's recency bias, but I mean, I watched the end of it. I was listening to it in my car.
You know what? No, I think the one that they ranked as number one was Mickelson's win as the most emotional, because he had been close, and that was the one that, he really, really wanted.
Is that the one where everyone was following him?
It's the one where he did the jump in the air and he got like a 4-inch vertical.
You're saying he's out of shape.
Yeah, he's.
All right, Bill Cotch is going to join us.
Okay.
Ed Koch's son. We will be back in just a moment.
Shine my clubs, play 36, and clear my schedule for 4 straight days.
Toucher and Hardy will be right back on the Sports Hub.
All right, it's cold, it's hot, it's cold, it's hot. Your AC system, you got... We are Dutcher and Artie. Bill Cotch covers the Red Sox, college hoops, and more for the Providence Journal. Bill, thank you for joining us.
Gentlemen, thanks for having me.
First of all, what did you make of the game last evening, the basketball game? The Michigan team, a lot of time to fall in love with them if you're a Michigan alumni with all the transferring. What a tip to the cap to Dusty May for taking that ragtag group of freshmen and turning them into something big. But last night, I think Danny Hurley keeping the game that close was a testament to how great a coach he is. I think Danny Hurley really shined in that game. Am I wrong or am I right?
No, he's outstanding. He's probably the best coach in college basketball right now. He did say after the game he feels like UConn has been the best program in college basketball the last 4 years, and I would agree with him. He got the game played at the pace he needed. He got Michigan to be inefficient offensively. UConn just couldn't score enough, and a lot of that had to do with Michigan's size in the paint. UConn was 12 for 35 from two-point range. They got outscored by 14 in the paint, and ultimately, in a game that was defense first, that was the difference.
Yeah, it's now. What do you think of college basketball with all the transferring and everything, and that you can be Michigan and be a coach of a team for 2 years, and then just get a bunch of new kids in, graduate age kids, and win a national championship? Does it mean as much to you as it would if you would recruited the kids and developed them in your own program?
I mean, I'm a traditionalist, so I don't necessarily love it. I understand the fans wanting to be able to bond with these guys over 2, 3, 4 years. But we can get back to that place, guys, and that's by getting to contracts and some sort of collective bargaining. Everyone continues to kick this down the road and think, oh, well, we'll pass an executive order and we'll do this and guardrails and whatever else. There's already legal precedent attached here. It's not going back to what it was in 2015. So let's get real. These guys are employees. They're not student athletes. They're players. Let's start treating them like the professionals that they are. Bind them to the school for 2 or 3 years with buyouts like the coaches enjoy if they want to transfer. And ultimately that would lead to more roster stability.
Yeah, I like that idea. I don't know that you can put the rabbit back in the hat when it comes to that. But I also look at a program like UConn, who is been through this for a few years now. They've managed to hold it together at least to some degree, where they are building something there. So I'm not necessarily throwing my hands up in the air and say, well, you'll get 1 year of any one of these schools being really good when they decide to push all their chips in. Maybe there is a way that doesn't necessitate, like you said, binding these guys to 2 and 3 year deals. If there's enough of a reputation with a program and you've got a coach like Hurley that's there, maybe they will be able to get and retain players so you can kind of have that familiarity and actually attach yourself to a team like we used to.
Yeah, there is still room for relationships in the sport. I mean, obviously, you're recruiting players, whether they're freshmen or transfers. You are creating something with the player and his family or his advisors. There is some faith there that you'll develop his game, get him to the point where he can either play in the NBA or play for 10 or 12 years over in Europe. So there's definitely some space for the non-transactional. That space is just much smaller than it's ever been.
Yeah, and it's not like Hurley was playing without transfers. He just had less of them.
Yeah.
And they weren't maybe in some cases as important. All right, let's pivot to the Red Sox. What's going on with them? Why is this historically bad?
I mean, what's good at this point, I guess, would be the shorter list. You're 2-8. You can't pitch, you can't play defense, and you can't hit. But otherwise, everything's great.
Okay. Why is this all happening now? Like, you can understand pitching is a lot of the times out of your control. Obviously, you can't control your offense. You can try to make adjustments. But it seems like what's going on with them defensively, and can you pin that at all to a coaching issue?
I think, ultimately it comes down to you don't have good enough players. And I know that's too simplistic, and we're looking for more of an explanation than that. But what proof do we have that Caleb Durbin is a third baseman? What proof do we have that Trevor Story can still play shortstop? Do they ever have their best outfield alignment based on the roster construction, based on the fact that one of these guys clearly should have been traded in the offseason, and Craig Breslow, whether he couldn't find value or ultimately couldn't part with any of them, decided to hang on to all. We already knew that Masataka Yoshida is deficient playing left field, but they're at a point right now where they might just have to put him out there because his at-bats have been good enough. And Roman Anthony clearly either has some sort of mental issue or has a throwing yips in left field.
Wait, stop there for a second.
Right
Stop there.
We were talking about that earlier in the show about if he has the yips.
Yeah, I mean, he made a throw from left field that I think I, at my current age, could have made. He barely made the mound.
Wouldn't have made it to the backstop. You could have thrown it as far in the air.
Shallow left field, and he short hopped the third base line. I don't think I've seen that from a left fielder. Even Manny, Greenwell, there have been bad left fielders that throw better than that. What is going on specifically with him?
Yeah, it's disturbing at this point. And, you really hope that it's a mental issue and not a physical issue, because ultimately he might be able to get some help from a sports psychologist or, ultimately break out of this. But, here's your five-tool can't-miss guy, and suddenly he can't throw to the plate from what's essentially deep shortstop. And that's a big concern when you consider the outfield alignment right now, the fact that they've clearly identified him as somebody who they need in the lineup, who they're hitting in a premium spot at leadoff. They need to get him right. But, I also think, guys, that this is a product of putting all sorts of pressure on a 21-year-old guy. The other day on Sunday, he's the guy talking to the media, after they lose. And for me, I think that is at the root of where the Red Sox have gone wrong here. This has been a transient clubhouse now for years, going back to the last World Series, with respect to veterans. Once Xander Bogaerts leaves, I would ask you who would be the captain of this team? If we were going to have the mythical debate, who would inherit the C from Jason Varitek and Dustin Pedroia and Xander Bogaerts? It'd be Trevor Story. Really? Is he a good enough player? Is he on the field enough? Is he worthy of that designation? I would say no. And beyond him, realistically, who would it go to? Carlos Narvaez, who's been here for maybe a year and a half and is still young in his career. I think that, and that's organizational philosophy. That's not paying veterans in their 30s. That's not being active in the free agent market with long-term deals. I think it's a collision of all of those things that you're seeing in admittedly a small sample now through 10 games.
I think the guy who kind of fits the bill is the guy who's pitching tonight. That's the problem. He seems to me to be the guy who's acting most like a captain, but you can't have a starting pitcher be a captain.
I think that's fair. And I think you saw some signs of that with Chris Sale when he was here. I think he definitely was a leadership type in that clubhouse. I think Rick Porcello was as well, not necessarily externally, but internally when you saw him every day and you saw him interact with the pitching staff. He was definitely a guy who, other pitchers would go to, veteran who broke into the major leagues when he was 19, 20. Very young guy, had a lot of tenure in the league, had a Cy Young Award, had career accomplishments, had pitched in big playoff games. And ultimately right now, you look around the Red Sox clubhouse and those guys are very much in the minority. And traditionally in Boston, their championship teams, their successful teams, that's not the way the rosters have been constructed.
Okay, let's talk about Contreras last night. He's pimping walks. He's flipping out because he got grazed in the hand. Now, I didn't know going into the game, but obviously he was pissed because he's been hit a lot by the Brewers, been hit a lot by Woodruff in his career. But, he's pimping, and then he pimped a home run when they were way down. What did you make of Contreras' behavior last night?
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend to know him all that well, or I'm not going to scold a guy who's a 33-year-old who's played however many major league games as he has. But I would say that it was a little bit of a lack of composure. I would say that his priorities are misplaced here. He's more intent on settling a personal score with the Brewers than he is trying to get the Red Sox to play winning baseball. And, if you're going to pimp home runs down 3 and, you're going to issue warnings after the game. You're only raising the antenna for the umpires tonight. What happens if Garrett Crochet pitches inside at some point? We're going to have warnings right away. You're going to take away both sides of the plate from your ace in the second inning. That's not necessarily very well advised. And, certainly the Red Sox are going to need Crochet to be sharp against Mizorowski, who is just an absolute nightmare if you're a hitter going up there.
So, if Contreras gets hit tonight and flips out, where would you land on that? If Milwaukee hits him and he flips out and he does something dumb, do you put that on Contreras or do you think he's justified?
I think it'd be disturbing to see him fight his brother, which ultimately you could end up.
There'd be a slap
watching.
fight. Yeah, they would just. It would be. They would just be like two brothers. He would just spit on him or something. Like put his knees on his shoulders and spit on him. It would be one of those kinds of things. He'd tickle him to death.
If he's trying to run out there and William Contreras has to tackle him and restrain him, I know what my parents would say if my brother and I were fighting in the middle of public like that.
That'd be funny if the mom came down on the field and separated the two of them.
What are you two doing? Stop it! Right?
Yeah, right.
He's hitting himself. He's hitting himself.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think ultimately it goes back to who does he have the answer to in that clubhouse? If you go back to the 2000s, this is an extreme example, but David Ortiz could go up to Wilson Contreras and say, "Hey, cut it out. That's not how we do things here." Jason Varitek could go up to Wilson Contreras and say, "Hey, cut it out. That's not how we do things here." Who's going to do that now?
Right. It goes back to that point, right?
He's supposed to be one of the guys who other players are going to and saying, "Hey, I got a problem." And Wilson Contreras is supposed to say to them, "Hey, cut it out. We're trying to go to the postseason here." I think that's an issue.
No, it absolutely is. And Contreras played for the Cardinals. I'm a Cardinal fan. I don't recall him being like this, but I could be wrong. I didn't watch, 160 Cardinal games last year, but for everything I know, he's like a professional. I don't know. His brother said he's all hot-headed after the game yesterday, but I don't recall seeing that. But he was a catcher. I don't know. It seems like it wasn't in his personality, but maybe the early lack of success from this team is starting to already rear its head a little bit, and that's not good news for anyone. All right, listen, Bill Cotch, great stuff. Read him in the Providence Journal. Always appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
All right, appreciate it. There you go. If I'm Milwaukee, maybe I hit Contreras today just to see if he loses his mind, and then because I got to face Crochet tonight.
Yeah.
So maybe I just have him lose his mind, can't get the end of the game, and see what happens from there. Because he's got to charge the mound, he's got to do something, because he said he was gonna. So, you hit him.
I wonder what it's going to take, though. Would it take hitting him, or if they just take him up and in again?
Yeah, if you just throw inside.
No, I don't think he'd do it if you throw inside. It would have to hit him. And I understand getting hit, even though it didn't hit him really, but getting hit in the hand sucks. It can break your hand and it can take you out. I get why he's pissed. And I understood why he was pissed, but then I saw it because I didn't see it. And then I saw it, and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah,
you went up there. You went up. Yeah, no, he wasn't throwing at him at all, and it didn't even get away from him. Yeah, it didn't even really get away from him.
It's literally 2 or 3 inches inside.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I saw, and it's like you wanted to get pissed. You went up there wanting to get pissed. Relax. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Essential.
Artie thinks the same way you do.
Nothing happened.
He's got the same questions.
Where is the story?
And the same opinions.
Boring.
And he's back with Fred on the Sports Hub.
I mean, everything hurts.
That's right. Yeah, that kid Mizorowski who's pitching tonight, he throws like 98, 99, 100. Imagine getting your bat sawed off in that. That's not going to be fun.
He ain't throwing 99 or 100 tonight. The ball doesn't even travel as well in the cold air, much less. He's not going to be loose. You can forget about that.
I was watching that Nationals game yesterday where the guy in the right fielder made that catch. I went, oh. And even my daughter went, what? And I went, look at this catch. There was a home run saving catch in a horrible game. So sometimes you just catch things live if you watch.
Sure.
So go out to the Red Sox game tonight.
Never know.
Artie's wife is going. You enjoy the snow.
My wife and son. Have fun.
38 degrees.
Yeah.
First pitch.
Well, my son has a game tomorrow.
Yeah.
And depending on some maneuverability within the team, there might be a chance he won't pitch tomorrow, so then he would pitch Saturday.
A lot warmer on Saturday.
And it would be like a relieving starting situation, like if he can either relieve in both games or he can start on Saturday. And so that's kind of up in the air. I'm very much encouraging anyone listening, start him on Saturday because then I do not have to go to the game on Wednesday, which will be in the 30s at first pitch at 3:30 because we live in hell. And that's what you deserve. That is what you deserve. There's a new Boston magazine I saw at 7-Eleven, and it said, like, are we cooked? Meaning that is Boston screwed because all these businesses are leaving and people are leaving, and I can't imagine why.
What are you getting at the 7-Eleven? You stopping in for a quarter-pound Big Bite? You getting a taquito?
No, I look down on everyone who orders food there. I do. I used to get Cuban sandwiches because they had one right by my college.
Oh, Cubano.
Yeah, it's still there. You can walk. I used to, you'd be drunk and you could walk across. You could walk. You
Hell yeah.
Safely walk to 7-Eleven and get yourself a Cuban sandwich. Like the night where I went across the hall. No, I'm sorry. I brought the Vulture home with me for my fraternity. And I was with the Vulture. And we made a gentleman's agreement that there would be no traditional biblical sex. And then the Vulture violated that agreement. So I stopped the activity right there. And then we went running across the hall to my friend's room. And he was sitting in a wicker chair eating a Cuban sandwich. And I said, the Vulture is here. Would you care for the Vulture? And he said, indeed, I would. So that is my strongest memory of the Cuban sandwich from 7-Eleven. Was the night of the Vulture.
One of the all-time great nicknames. It's fantastic.
She would hang around the fraternity house until everyone and pick off the weakest of the bunch. She was nocturnal.
Do you offer yourself up as a sacrifice, or shall she look elsewhere?
I mean, she was basically nocturnal. I mean, you're talking 3, 4 in the morning. She's still walking around the halls of the fraternity house, making sure if anyone's up. There was no people respected the Vulture, and you respected the hustle, and no one judged you if you had been with the Vulture. There was no kind of talking down to you. Everyone understood.
It was cash and it was consent.
Absolutely. Mega butt cheeks, too.
Yeah.
Mega butt cheeks. So many buns.
Did you ever do any hot dogging with the Vulture?
No, she wasn't that big.
Oh.
Looking back, the Vulture wasn't, like, unattractive. It was just kind of her lifestyle.
Sure. Everybody's got their thing. Hobbies.
Absolutely. And she had the
Pastimes.
ability to be able to not sleep. And so, there was like that, there was that ability that she had. And so, even though I did not live in the house, she was willing to walk across the street into my dormitory room. But then our gentleman's agreement was tossed out the window at that point.
Oh.
And I said, Vulture, this was not the agreed upon. I said, this was not agreed upon. You are pushing the limits of this. And she agreed. And so I said, there could be a solution that satisfies both of us. You leave, but you are satisfied physically. And I said, I knocked on my neighbor's door, who's a good friend of mine, ended up being my roommate the next year in the fraternity house. And I said, the Vulture is here. And she said, indeed I am. And I said, the Vulture, here is my friend. I will not name him, for he does not live far from this building. And I said, would you, is this a consensual sitch? And they both went, And I went, all right, well, now
I bid you adieu.
I did, and I bid them adieu, and I shut the door, and I said, okay, I'm off to bed.
There you go.
Just because my agreement with the Vulture was she pushed the limits, I said, that's okay. That's okay. We can end tonight with everyone happy.
Mm. Did he get to finish the sandwich first?
That's
good
between
question.
him and her. I did not.
Good question.
No, it was not in my room. It was we both walked over and I said, "Look, you're aware of this person. You're friends. Sounds like he's still up. TV's on. Would this be of interest to you?" And she said, "Absolutely." I said, "Fantastic." I said, "Why not?" I said, and I don't even know if they did anything. I just know that I just said, hey, and she was like, hey, and they started talking. I don't know what happened.
That's a nice way to
that.
start.
Yeah. They were having a chat. It wasn't anything like tawdry.
Yeah.
It was just like, he was up watching TV. Maybe they watched a movie. I don't remember what the engagement was. They could have just watched a movie. I don't know.
What year was it?
Everyone was sober. 94, the fall of 94. Yeah, the fall of 94, because I was in the fraternity, but I wasn't allowed to live there because of my grades. So it was the fall of 94. All right, we'll be back. We have a huge announcement and a new piece of media that you will be wanting to see. That announcement will be happening when we come back.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.
WBZ-FM and HD Boston 98.5. The Sports Hub. Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Bruins closed down their 4-game road trip in Raleigh, North Carolina against the Hurricanes this evening. Bruins 0-2-1 on the trip so far. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers have the pregame at 6:30 and the face-off at 7 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Celtics play the Charlotte Hornets at TD Garden tonight. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7:30 and the tip-off at 8 over on 105.7 WROR. Everyone once again available for the green in this game. Now we head to the Red Sox. They blew an early 3-0 lead and lost again, this time to Milwaukee, 8-6 at Fenway Park. Brian Bayo didn't make it out of the fourth inning for the Red Sox. Garrett Whitlock took the loss in relief. Red Sox are now 2-8. They pitch Greg Crochet against the Brewers tonight. Michigan beat Connecticut last night 69-63 to win college basketball's national championship. Dusty May's team shot under 40% from the field and still managed to win it all.
Well, if you told me we would shoot it this poorly, get dominated on the glass, and still find a way to win, I don't know if I would have believed you, but this team's just found a way all season.
Elliot Cadeau scored 19 points. He was voted the Final Four's most outstanding player. It's Michigan's first championship since 1989. And North Carolina has hired Michael Malone as their new head basketball coach. He won an NBA championship in Denver 3 years ago and was fired a year ago. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Rodenheiser Home Services. Get your AC ready now. Rodenheiser's early season check is just $89. Schedule at Rodenheiser.com today. Rodenheiser Home Services, nice people, great service since 1928. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
The Sports Hub. 3 legendary franchises on one legendary radio station. It's the Sports Hub.
Why do people listen to Touch
Because it's a thing.
All right.
You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
No idea what you're talking about.
Here's more of The Thing on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. You can watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. If you're just getting up, Merry Christmas. It's the snowstorm. There's a legitimate snowstorm. Oh, no, there's not. Oh, yeah. In Waltham, there is a snowstorm. There's snow of great amounts falling from the sky as we speak. Like
bombing down still.
All right. Hardy and I grew up in Detroit. John and Adam grew up in Massachusetts. I've lived in Massachusetts for 20 years. This is a snowstorm. It won't stick.
No.
But this is real snow of great amounts falling from the sky on April 7th.
Yes. Yes, you described it perfectly. That's exactly what's going on.
I'm not like at first, like the last break, I was like, it's snowing, kind of like tee-hee.
Yeah.
This is like a real, like significant amount of snow falling from the sky.
Right, and it's at a clip, and it's in an amount that if it were not spring snow, if it were winter snow 2-3 months ago, this would be like a foot of snow an hour.
Yes,
this is like stay in a hotel type of snow.
Right, like this if it was, because it's gonna be in the 40s today. If this was if this was a 23-degree day, this would be accumulating at like an inch an hour, an inch and a half an hour. That's fair. That's completely fair.
You're good.
If you could shoot a Christmas movie outside right now.
I thought you said, if I could shoot myself right now, I would.
Oh, my God.
No, because it's honestly depressing enough. I don't want to put that into the ether. I don't want to have that out there. This will all improve, but you just have to remember that John's little theory, his pet theory, if we just have to get to March, is completely
Did you
flawed.
say that like last year or earlier this winter?
It's earlier this winter.
And I kept saying to you or somebody around here, it always snows in April. We always get snow in April, but when it happens, I'm still like confounded by this.
What my theory is, or what still is, we were in the middle of February. February absolutely sucked around here.
Yes.
I'm not Yeah, I mean, look, I
No,
grew up here.
it was worse
It
than
was
now.
awful.
Yes, it was worse
But
than now.
my theory was once you get to March 1st, we've turned the corner. We might get nailed once or twice between now and when it gets warm, but the worst part of it is over. That is my theory.
Okay, so
that's why I like March 1st.
I'll just say this again, and these are my activities, which is why I frame it from where I was. My son had a game that in May, early May, a baseball game. Not even early May. It might have been mid-May. And Roach came out to it, which was very nice, and I didn't know he was coming. So this is why I remember it so well. And I took a picture of it. I think I put it on Instagram. I took a picture of it. I was wearing my winter coat that I wear in January and February. And there were snowflakes, not like this, but there was snowflakes falling from the sky in May.
I remember you sent me a picture because you told me this was happening. You texted me this was happening. I'm like, BS, come on. And you showed me a picture of you and Roach standing with snow around you.
And it was like my son had like 4 baseball games left in the spring season.
No, season was almost over.
You're asking these kids, now they can because of indoor facilities and training techniques now, but you're asking kids, by the way, the Florida baseball season's like pretty much over their spring season. They start travel like now. And you're asking these kids to go out and play. Like there's high school games today. They got to go out and play in a snowstorm. Well, or in a day that had snow that day. All right. Well, listen, when this is happening in real time, you can't expect us to be completely focused on what we were going to talk about. And what we were talking about is a big deal. All right. So we, for a very long time, some would say an inordinate amount of time, had people requesting songs. Why ask for the songs? Well, because Hardy had the brilliant idea. He goes, Fred, I want to make puppets of the show. He said, do you think that's a good idea? I said, absolutely. What do you need from me? And all he needed from me was money. I said, that's I can do that. I just want to make it clear that this is all I want to give Hardy a lot of credit because I love it. And so he goes and he has these puppets made. It takes months. We had we shot around ideas for how to make the puppets. He did include me in that process. And I only had one suggestion, and it was like, you don't have to make a John one. I said, let's not invest in that. They already make John puppets. And he agreed. And so we had this big contest in order to get through the winter, but also to find a theme. And I left it entirely up to Hardy. I said, look, we're going to find a theme for one of the Thuppets. And it's up to you if you can turn this into a video. And so ultimately we voted and we decided that this was the winner. If you listen to the show at all, you've heard it, but this is I'm going to play it. And I want to play it because I learned something about the song through the video that I did not know before. How about that?
Oh.
I did. Through the interpretation of the video, I learned something about this song, and I probably heard this song 10 times. But I did learn about it.
Was it because of the captioning?
No.
Did you learn something? Oh.
No, it was
right.
No. I wouldn't make a big deal about it if it was. It was because of the way you shot the video. I learned something about the song.
Okay.
What the narrator was trying to say.
Oh, all right.
And I can explain. We'll play it. Do you want me to stop it and explain?
Sure.
Okay. All right, here we go.
John's been married once before. Yeah, that one ended in divorce. Fred just laughs across the mic. Yet mine did too. Welcome to life.
All right, so the video is up now at Toucher and Hardy on Instagram. You can also find it at Hardy985 and at Fred Toucher. But at Toucher and Hardy on Instagram is what the station gets the credit for. So when it says, Fred just laughs across the mic, yeah, mine did too, welcome to life, I'd even said on the air, I thought the guy who wrote the song said, yeah, mine did too, welcome to life. But when Hardy shoots the video, it's the Fred puppet going, yeah, mine did too, welcome to life. So I realized what the guy singing is saying. I, as Fred Toucher, am saying, yeah, John, mine did too, welcome to life, which I didn't get. And I enjoy that because it comes as I am emotionally superior to John.
I have rather given you credit for being supportive of John.
See, that's where I was going with it, too. I thought that's what you were trying to portray. But, Fred has his own
No, I'm
interpretations
laughing
of these
across
things.
the room, saying, "Ha ha, you fool!
Yeah.
Look at how this tripped you up." I handled mine brilliantly.
Yes. Mine did too. Grow up, you old baby.
Yeah, what are you going to go to rehab?
I know. You should have done that. What's wrong with you?
Deal with yourself.
Rehab.
Yeah. I came out the other end better person. You're stuck.
Intensive therapy.
Couldn't afford it. That's the truth. $20 a minute to sit in silence. No, I'm not in intensive therapy.
What do you think it means?
That's good.
No, it wasn't even that. It was
I'm
just
asking you.
I would go in and I would tell the guy things that I'd already told everyone else, and then he would just sit there, and then I liked him, but I was like, this is awfully expensive. I mean, you're talking about, you're getting into 5 figures. Yeah. I can't justify that because no one takes insurance anymore because everyone needs therapy because you should be in therapy. I should be in therapy. In fact, I have friends of mine sending me the names of therapists saying, maybe you should be in therapy. I think it's a good thing. I should be in You know what? I'll get on it today. How about that?
John dreamed he'd call the Celtics game the Pocket Floor in Band of Fame, but they picked Drew Carter instead.
All right, so you hear that. How do you make the video? Well, how about Hardy calls up Drew Carter himself? So if you don't know who that is in the video, that's Drew Carter, the guy who calls the Celtics game. Now, Drew Carter and John have no beef because this is the real way it went down. I'm not just saying this because he did the video. Drew Carter getting the Celtics job on TV is not the thing that hurt John. It did as a trickle-down thing, but transient properties of it did. But John has no beef with Drew Carter because John's never knew he was never in the running for the TV job at all. Like, he was not going to get the TV job. The deal was, actually, when Drew Carter got the TV job, the deal would have still been on the table for John to get the radio job if it had infuriated Grandy enough to go take another job or leave his job. Because Grandy didn't get the TV job. I don't know. I assume he wanted the TV job, but I don't know. But if he would have gotten pissed off enough to leave or would have gotten another play-by-play job in a bigger market, John would have gone and gotten that job. Hence the crying and the excitement that generated internally. Because when Granny started crying, you have to understand that maybe to you it didn't mean anything, but to us, it created quite a buzz.
There were meetings.
Because it spurned what's going on. Because John was going to get the radio job if Grandy left it. But Grandy had to leave it. Because they want Grandy to do it, so Grandy would have had to leave it. They weren't going to fire Grandy. So there was some, whoa, he's crying here. Is John going to end up with the radio job? Which was the plan if Grandy left, but he would have to leave. Which he did not.
Even though some people still say
the clowns on morning shows.
Right. Okay. Again, I am the innocent here. In fact, Hardy even said he got Drew Carter, and I've badmouthed Drew Carter, it's been very light badmouthing. He's very young. I don't have a problem with him doing the games. He got his job fair and square. I was good friends with Mike Gorman. I could see becoming friends with Drew Carter. He looks, you might think it's Adam Jones. But Drew Carter wanted to even take things further with the Wallach puppet, if you watch the video.
He was reluctant at first because, A, he didn't want to hurt John's feelings, and B, he didn't want to be seen doing anything abusive to a bald eagle, even in puppet form. And I assured him that John was in on the joke and no one was going to have a problem with him, doing anything to the puppet. And then Drew had some other suggestions, which did not make the final cut.
Drew, the switch got flipped and Drew was all in.
If you're watching the video, he fades from something, but it's going to be John's about to perform on Drew Carter.
We don't know. We don't know.
Well, that's what it looks like to me. I didn't make the video.
Maybe the eagle was just kind of sitting there.
Let's put it this way. It's not clear. So I just wanted to say on the radio,
Yeah.
Drew Carter was willing to take it further and actually perform on the puppet.
Oh.
But Hardy shot it. This is all true. Hardy shot it, but then went, okay.
Well, it wouldn't get past the ratings board.
Well, did he? Hardy looked at the film. He had to see it, and he decided the artistic decision was to make it look like, okay, here you are, puppet. Like it's about to go down, and the puppet's like, okay, I'm willing to do this. That's what it looks like to me as an observer of it. Which again, narratively doesn't really make sense
there,
in the story.
It becomes what you want it
It's
to
subjective.
But the reason that works is because that's a fun narrative because it's not true. John and Drew's career paths, one affected the other, but it wasn't like Drew screwed John over. It took a job John wanted. None of that happens. And again, it's all a trickle down that Drew takes the TV job no matter what. It's a dream job. But that was not John's dream. John's dream was to do the radio call. So Drew did not take John's job. That's why it's funny because Drew's standing there and it appears to me like the puppet's Drew's like, hey, I want you to do this. It's like the reverse of the Jazz Wallach where John's like, hey there, what you gonna do? So Drew Carter would be saying, hey there, pretty bird. I'm standing here. I'm in control of this situation.
What else can that beak do?
Well, yeah, let's make with that beak. Jim Henson, make me feel good. And then that's what we had. All right, so, and then the song.
Man of fame, but they picked Drew Carter instead. Fred got divorced, John did, don't you? But Drew calls himself not John.
So Drew Carter has the great honor of being the first non-puppet to appear in a Thuppets video.
Yeah.
So forever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he wants. Drew, start sharing this all around to all the other bigwigs. Perhaps LeBron could text this. Could you get Jaylen Brown to put this on Instagram? You fly on that plane with him. We'll ask Cedric to get involved. I'm sure Cedric's very active on social media. Cedric's probably very concerned about what people are thinking about him on social media.
Boy, you got him pegged. That's it.
No, Cedric is the most self-assured human being in the world. It's actually quite a nice trait in today's day and age. I don't think Cedric at all cares. The only way he knew that anyone was talking about it on social media is they said he was dying. And he got a call from Robert Parrish. It took Robert Parrish to alert him that people were saying he was dying. So there you go. Hardy with a brilliant adaptation. All around creativity in this world, bouncing all around. A listener submits a song that's impossible to understand, but people fall in love with it. It's interpreted visually, and I learned something through the visual interpretation. It taught me something that the artist was trying to say that I didn't already know, that I am expressing from across the room to John emotional superiority, which is how the story
not emotional support,
not
emotional superiority.
You want that made clear.
Very, very
clear.
No,
support through superiority. Like I'm saying, be more like me.
I thought those were mutual exclusive.
No, I mean, they share a root.
Yeah,
so there's got to be some connection to them.
I, again, am taking you by the hand.
You're right.
Like an emotional Pied Piper and being like, be more like me, which is exactly how it happened because I knew John when he got divorced the first time. I was like, you're the guy who occasionally does updates on WEEI. And he went, yep. And I went, oh, it's all blowing up around you. And he went, yep. And I went, don't worry. It will happen to me. Just handle it like I did.
Do what I do and make me proud.
Well, listen, we're both thriving, Johnny. And that's all that you need to know. All right. So there you go. The video is up. There's a snowstorm and everything's going wrong. But the video is up. So if you're stuck on 95 or whatever routes people say.
128.
You can look at your phone. If you're stopped, you got to be stopped. And you can look at Toucher and Hardy on Instagram.
Now you're going to have to sift through all of the tweets and Instagram posts from people saying, it's snowing. It's snowing. which doesn't need to be said on social media.
No,
but
it needs to be said on live radio.
That's right.
Because by the time someone sees it on social media, it's already going to have snowed.
No.
All right. So that's up. So congratulations to Hardy and Nick. Nick, who worked on that, to Drew Carter, and to the gentleman that wrote the winning song. It's all tied up in a neat little bow now. And you can see Drew Carter, in my artistic opinion, looking like he's about to receive a favor of the sexual variety from the wallet puppet.
Even though
I fear that the more you point that out, the greater the chance is that someone will push back. And
it's so loose. No, I feel very. That's why I'm saying it, is because it's such a gray area.
the puppet is sitting in front of Drew Carter.
Right.
That's all it's doing.
And then it fades.
And then it fades out.
No, it's an artistic. That's what's nice about it. It's an artistic interpretation. That's how I interpret it.
Before Drew took it in all sorts of weird directions.
Well, that was left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment. We'll be joined by Connor Ryan as the Bruins get back to business.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy.
pretty much this whole trip, like we not scoring many goals. So maybe the shots there, we just need to get more grittier, I guess, go more to the net, and start scoring some goals. We can rely on our goaltender every night.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Connor Ryan covers the Bruins for Boston.com. Boston.com is the Globe, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So we were talking about bringing Hagens up yesterday. Hagens is having success in Providence. He's has the ability to be called up. If he plays one shift, he still loses his year of team control. But we were talking about it yesterday, and I guess by coincidence, Kevin Paul DuPont put out a tweet saying it's through Kevin DuPontanese, but it is essentially don't bring a kid up when you're scuffling.
The tweet is this is Kevin Paul DuPont tweeting yesterday, right at the end of the show while we were still on the air. Generally, my feeling is, call up raw rookies when times is good, not when you be praying for pixie dust.
Right. So since they've lost into three, so the interpretation, I guess, is that
the DuPontanese Google translation
says that because you haven't been playing well the last 3 games, you don't bring him up. Because that's the reason that's confusing is because they're exceeding expectations and they are going to make the playoffs. So that's why it's a little – so things in a macro sense are good, but in a condensed sense are not. But here we are. Connor Ryan, hello.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Are we interpreting that tweet right? Is he saying not to call up Hagens right now?
Yeah, I believe when you look at what Kevin's going with there, it's the fact that, yes, they've been scuffling. They've got 3 goals in their last 3 games. And I guess when things are going tough right now, you don't want to put a guy like Hagens into that spot to more or less be – the savior, I guess. But I also think you look at what James Hagens does well and where I think there's a logical landing spot in the lineup for him, right, on the third line. If you were to call him up, it's not like he's going to be in a top 6 role. It's not like he's going to be slotting into a center position, right, where he's replacing an Elias Lindholm or someone like that. So I'm more of the opinion that if you're calling him up, one, I think he's going to help out this team. It's clear when you look at how offensively the tough sledding they've been on, that they need a bit of a boost here down the stretch. And also, you look at like previous times, whether it's Charlie McAvoy, who it wasn't an ideal situation for him, right, where he gets called up to go play in the playoffs, play 20-plus minutes a night against prime Erik Karlsson. Like, that's not the best spot to throw a guy into the fire like that, but he did pretty well. I think if you're a Bruins fan, you got a front row seat of Porter Martone and the Flyers on Sunday, where it's not ideal for them to put him in a top 6 role down the stretch here, where that's a Flyers team that feels like they were in another bridge year, and now they're playing meaningful hockey. They're in the Metro playoff race right now, and Porter Martone's played a key role in that. So I think when you look at the fact the Bruins are already, in a good spot, they've exceeded expectations, as you guys said. If now down the stretch you need a bit of a boost and you've got the 7th overall pick, a guy who has the high-end skill, the skating ability, he can give you a bit of a lift further down the lineup, I think I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think I'm all for it, too, for no other reason than it is the NHL playoffs, and even though they're playing above expectation and they've had a bit of a slide here, you make it into the playoffs, you see what happens. Now, I think we've seen enough of this team over the course of the regular season to know that they're going to be outmatched talent-wise, and I don't believe it's all about the goalie in the playoffs. But still, strange things happen more often in the NHL playoffs than anywhere else. So if you've got a guy out there who can contribute and help you with some goal scoring, why not? I understand the reluctance and the improbability of it, but it's more probable than it would be in just about any other scenario.
Yeah, and I think you just look at what James Hagens does well. Like, that third-line spot, is there a better option right now for the Bruins? Like, I think that's also one of the problems here, is that the domino effect of bringing him in that spot, see what he can do, because I think he's a better option than a guy like Lucas Reichel, right, who played under a minute of ice time in the third period against the Florida Panthers. Like, if you're going to bring up James Hagens and he's only going to get 12 to 14 minutes on a third-line role, I'd rather you bring in the guy who ideally is going to be part of your long-term equation than a guy like Lucas Reichel in that spot, or a Mikey Asimon, Alex Steve. So I think there's a logical spot there for him on the depth chart. And also on the power play, where the Bruins are 28th in the NHL since coming back from the Olympic break, you look at how good he is down in Providence as far as his ability to get those clean zone entries, his playmaking abilities. If you put him in that spot on the power play and it gets a guy like Morgan Geekie going down the stretch here, I think it's a net positive for all parties there. And especially when you look at the fact that Marco Sturm's more or less been kind of rearranging those deck chairs, right? With a guy like David Pastrnak. He's put him with Elias Lindholm and Morgan Geekie at times. It clearly has not worked this season. It worked great last match in April when the Bruins really didn't have a lot of stuff to play for. But right now, he keeps on going back to that group, and I just don't think it's working. I'd rather you bring up Hagans, see what he can do, give your team a bit of a spark down the stretch here, and keep David Pastrnak in that top 6 spot with younger guys like Minton and Husnudov and get them going as well.
You mentioned Geekie. I mean, it's been a month now. I don't know what else you can do. You've shifted him. You've moved him all over the place on the power play and in the top 9. I'm at a loss to figure out what's going on with that guy.
Yeah, and you can tell he's feeling the pressure, right? You have that game on Sunday where he's smashing his stick. He's committing a couple of penalties. He's clearly pressing, and this is a guy who had 34 goals through the first 53 games of the season. Was it to be expected for him to keep on that 55-goal pace? Probably not, but I think if you're the Bruins, you also don't want these peaks and valleys where all of a sudden, as you said, it's been over a month since he scored a goal, 22 total games since a 5-on-5 goal at the very least. And I think if you look at what this Bruins team is, yes, they've got their flaws, but you feel a lot better about where this group would be as far as just spreading the wealth, especially offensively, if you get Morgan Geekie rolling down the stretch here. And I think you see what James Hagans is doing down in Providence, right? The stats are, 4 points in 6 games. He's not knocking the door down, but I think you look at the tape, you look at how good he is with the puck on his stick, how he's operating in grade A ice where Morgan Geekie likes to hang out. If you're able to put him on that third line and you're able to get Geekie to get a tap-in goal in one of these final 3 games, get him rolling, feeling confident, that will do wonders, I think, for the rest of your lineup if he starts, improving here down the stretch going into the playoffs.
What do you think the chances of that happening are?
Against Carolina, I don't feel like that's going to be the case. I don't think they're going to throw him in that spot. I believe they canceled their morning skate, so I think the lineup is what it is. So you're probably going to see one of Reichel, Asimont, Alex Steve to see what they can do there. But I think you look at the rest of the schedule, the fact that they're going to go back home now. They're scheduled to have 3 practice days going into Saturday's home game against Tampa. Again, a tough opponent, but when you look at the runway the Bruins have here, where if you wanted to call up Hagans, you can get a couple of practice days, get him acclimated, put him in the spot where Marco Sturm wants him to be. I think that makes a lot of sense. And you look at where the Bruins are, and I think the circumstances have changed from when maybe they first signed him to that ATO contract in Providence. I could see at the time they wanted to get him acclimated to the pro game, see what he could do. And also there was no guarantee at that time, right, that the Bruins were going to be in the playoffs. I could see them being like, all right, let's get him down in Providence. We'll see what we can do up here. We don't want to call him up. He's not ready. And all of a sudden we miss the playoffs and he can't go back down to Providence. Now you're in a spot where you know that at the very least this Bruins team is going to be playing 5 to 7 competitive playoff games against a team like Carolina, Montreal, Buffalo, what have you. I'd rather you, if you're the Bruins, give him that experience now, put him in the NHL playoffs, see what he can do. If he thrives, it puts you in a great spot moving forward. And if he has those learning curves, those bumps in the road, well, now he can go into an offseason knowing what to expect, what to work on, and you build that moving forward.
It makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Because if they even get a point tonight, they're making the playoffs. I mean, it would take a full collapse not to make the playoffs. So you're right. You get the kid some experience there in games that matter. It seems he's a wildly talented kid. It seems like this is the right spot for him. I'm sold, Connor Ryan. Thank you.
No problem.
All right. Is what they're doing wrong correctable?
Well, I think you look at the fact that the offense right now, it's in a rough way when you look at especially the power play. And I think a lot of that bleeds into the fact that you're just not getting that production from Morgan Geekie, who's been so good with that one-timer, just making it tougher for opposing penalty kill units to, key in on a guy like David Pastrnak when you've got another guy who can rifle it like Geekie on the power play as well. So I think his struggles are bleeding into the power play and the 5-on-5 production. I think you've got David Pastrnak, who I think has still been productive. I know he had a pretty rough game on Sunday, especially in overtime against Philly. But I think when you're Marco Sturm and you're putting him all across the depth chart, and I get it, he's an all-world offensive player, but that geeky Lindholm Pastrnak line just has not worked this year. They've been outscored at 5-on-5 ice time, which is not what you want when you're rolling out your 3 highest paid forwards. So I think if you're Marco Sturm, you have to get away from that group. I think you like how David Pastrnak plays with the younger players like Fraser Minton and Husendinov. So I think it's all about right now spreading the wealth offensively for the Bruins. So if you can keep Pastrnak in that spot, I think you know what to expect from that second line, which has been money all year long for this group. And again, if you're able just to get that third line rolling with a guy like Higgins, I think if you're an opposing team and you look at what the Bruins are good at, right? When they're on their game, they got great goaltending. They're hard to play against. If all of a sudden now you look at it and you've got David Pastrnak driving play on one line, you know you have to account for that second line, and you've got this kid in James Higgins who you have to account for when you look at his skating ability, especially if you can get Morgan Geekie going. They're going to be, I think, a hard out whoever they draw in that first round.
Yeah, I watched Jeremy Swayman and Jonas Corposalo. Both are playing very well. I just was looking while you were talking. It's been a month since they've given up more than 4 goals in a game. I mean, they should be in every game they play. If the offense just gets a little bit better, whoever they play, and Hardy, you were talking about how the goaltending. Mm-hmm. If Swayman is on his game, they will be a threat against Carolina, Buffalo, or Tampa, whoever they wind up playing in the first round.
Yeah, I think you even saw it the last time the Bruins were in the playoffs, where that 23-24 Moneyball type Bruins, right, where they kind of filled up a lot of that roster with veterans or journeyman type players. Like, that was far from a juggernaut of a team. Like, that Toronto team, I think, was clearly better when you look at just how they control play at 5-on-5, the power play. But what was the great equalizer in that series was Jeremy Swayman, right? And I think that's why even that second round against the eventual Stanley Cup champion Panthers, why they made it a competitive series. So if you have Jeremy Swayman playing at a high level, I think you have a shot. I think you look at the way the Bruins have played. It's unfortunate they've hit this rut now down the stretch, but you look at those previous games, right, where, yes, you have the comeback wins against Buffalo, Columbus, those good character performances from Marco Sturm's team, but those wins against the Minnesota Wild and the Dallas Stars, 2 of the best teams in the West, they really control play at 5-on-5 for a lot of those matchups, right, where they're tough to play against, they are stingy in the neutral zone, they're physical, they finish their hits, and I think you look at I don't think they're going to be favored, right, as far as who they're going to play in the first round against a team like Carolina or Buffalo, what have you. But they're going to be a tough out, right? They're going to make the opposing team work. And if Jeremy Swayman is dialed in and you're able to just get a little bit more production from the power play or that third line, I think if you're a Bruins fan, you can expect this team to really be scrapping against one of the top teams in the conference.
All right, Connor Ryan, read him in Boston.com. Thank you for the time, sir.
Yep, thanks for having me, guys.
All right, we appreciate it. We'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines. Oh, no, they're not. Yeah.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Bruins and Celtics both be back at work tonight. Both had last night off. The Bruins are on the road against Carolina. This is the 4th and final game of their road trip. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers bring you the pregame at 6:30 and the face-off at 7 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Celtics will welcome Charlotte to TD Garden tonight. Grandy and Max had the pregame at 7:30 and the tip-off at 8 over on 105.7 WROR. Red Sox are now a Major League worst 2-8 on the season. They lost to Milwaukee 8-6 at Fenway Park last night. They pitched Garrett Crochet against the Brewers tonight. Michigan beat Connecticut to win college basketball's national championship 69-63. And North Carolina yesterday hired former Denver Nuggets head coach Michael Malone. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Service Credit Union. They're teaming with Charlie McAvoy for 73 reasons to provide funding and health screens for first responders. Learn more at servicecu.org/73. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9 o'clock.
More Dutcher and Hardy on the way.
party, and as it is pouring snow outside, Ben, go ahead.
Freddie, baby.
Benjamin, always good to talk to you, sir.
Always great to chat with you, and a shout-out to the YouTube fam. Riz is in the house, as are all the others, the lovely group. I am concerned, however, at the end of Wallach's headlines on the last break, as he puts down his headphones and turns his beak towards the window, he utters something that I don't know if he was calling on a higher power. Perhaps he was reconsidering Judaism, but he looked so concerned as he looked out the window, and you could see the reflection of the snow coming down. Wallach, are you okay?
I looked outside, and it's snowing even harder than it was when we first looked. I didn't think that was possible.
It's sticking on trees, by
It's
the way.
amazing. Look at that.
It's sticking on trees, Benjamin.
It's amazing that at 90-plus years old, he's still fascinated by snow and weather.
Well,
it affects him to a greater degree than it does the rest of us.
Yeah, do you have to fly? No.
When he was moving west, Benjamin, during the Depression, you have to understand that he had to move all the way from the coast to Natick. It was very difficult for him to traverse those wintry conditions.
All the way from Brookline.
Yeah. I mean, this guy has lived within 300 miles of himself his entire life. You have to understand how these things affect
Never
him.
been further west than the 495.
No.
Many thoughts and prayers.
Many thoughts and prayers, Benjamin. Thank you.
Yes, many thoughts and prayers. I love you all. Have a great day.
We love you, Benjamin. Thank you. Thank you for calling in. No, it's concerning to everyone. And it's starting to stick to trees. Obviously, it's not going to stick to the ground. The trees, they don't have that the same situation as the ground. But to look outside right now, if I told you that it was January 15th, I don't know if you would fight me on it that much.
It's sticking on the ground enough. I mean, it's not going to be there for long, but it's on the ground. It's sticking.
It's just funny that people settled here. That's the real thing that's funny about it.
I think about that all the time, like how stupid our ancestors and forefathers were. It's like, could you not have set up these major cities down in Virginia and South Carolina and have that really be the economic and financial centers of this country?
You think
Wouldn't
if you
that
had
make more sense? The seat of government.
Maybe because of it's closer to England in all that it's closer to the coast of
Probably.
of Europe, but you would think that you already traversed the ocean, that at least you'd want to investigate south. Like isn't that like a less perilous journey than across the Atlantic?
Columbus ended up in the Caribbean islands first.
That's true. He did a lot of great things down there.
Yeah.
He created a little golf tournament.
A tradition unlike any other.
It didn't have to be like this.
Right. No, I do think about that. It's like how we just, like, as a species, we just, because if you think about the history of the world and then how limited amount of time the United States has been in existence, it's a speck on the calendar of Earth, right? We think of it as being a very long time, but it's just a few generations here.
Yeah,
and just the laziness of the human species. Like, we just went around the moon. By the way, when you get to the side of the moon where they can't communicate with you for 40 minutes, no thank you. That's got to be the trippiest thing in the world. It's got to be like being first of all, you're weightless. You're outside of Earth, you're in space, where obviously you're unfamiliar with what's going on. And then you don't have literally any chance of contact with the Earth. It's different than being in the desert. It's different than being in the woods. It's different than being at sea. You're at a place where you are untethered from the Earth.
There's no rescue.
No, but beyond that, like, there's probably no rescue at parts of the sea. It's just like just everything you've ever read, everything that you've ever watched, everything that you've ever thought has all been based on Earth. Like everything's fantasy beyond that, or like a handful of stories.
That point where they got around the dark side of the moon and then had reached the spot further than anyone had ever gone before. That's where you start thinking, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
No one ever has been out here.
Like, how do you conceptualize that? Like, it's got to be so trippy, like that you don't have contact with the earth. Like, even at sea, which would suck, you can touch the water and see the sky. Like, you're just out in this understandable nothingness where you're being guided by forces that aren't yours. Like, you remember, they're not hitting like the gas. They're being moved upon by forces that we don't, I guess we understand it enough to move the shuttle, but we don't know exactly what's going on or why it's happening.
Can't see it. Can't control it. By the way, as trippy as you think that is, Beaton over here comes into the studio, looks out the window, and he says to 12, if you look up in the sky where it's snowing, it's really trippy. I said, you stupid little sawed-off pothead, shut up and go back in the other studio. God, did that piss me off.
Actually, that was verbatim. Almost word for word what he said.
Really annoys me that he stretches and then goes home and smokes dope. Do something
Is
else.
he a big pothead?
I think so.
He flames up, in the car on the way home. He's got the long trip.
How many times a week do you take dope?
Not even like that much anymore. Probably more so when I was in college, but not.
How much now?
Maybe like once a week.
That's a lot. You're a pothead. You're addicted to taking marijuana.
Is it in the car on the way home?
No.
He gets his work done. He can do whatever he wants.
It's never on the way home.
No.
You have a long trip.
No, that would be a lot.
Dude, that's trippy. He's trippy talking about my
I've never
trip.
needed to be like, on the way home.
But this is why Ryan's got such a relaxed tude.
Oh, yeah.
Is because he's just like, he's satisfied with looking up at the sky.
Look up at the sky, and then 12, equally dopey, goes over to the window and looks up at the sky with him. I'm like, oh, you two jag-offs.
Well, if you're Adam and everything eludes you, but things that you can just see for free.
Yeah.
You're almost forced to, in order to survive emotionally, to look up when someone says to look
looking
up.
out the window, getting free entertainment.
Yeah, exactly.
Children looking up in the sky. I can't tell you the last time I looked
What
up
do you
in
want
the sky.
Adam to look at? He can't be at the library right now.
Not right now.
Yeah, he's too busy looking down,
Look at
saving
you
the
guys
planet,
all
man.
day.
He can't look up
Back
at the
of Wallach's
sky.
head all
No,
morning.
he's not saving the planet. He's saving a patch of land.
Oh, wow.
That they allow him to walk on for free, and they want to take that away. I asked Adam, I said, what's a charity that I should give to?
Yeah.
And I
Trust
gave
for
to the
public lands.
charity.
Yeah.
And then I gave him I went to one of those dopey radio stations.
WMBR.
But then the people from the radio station go like, why do you hate us? They like email nice emails, and I'm like, come on, guys. like I don't hate you. Yeah. I'm trying to make Adam angry. Like
I helped explain. I
have to explain this to them. Be like, why do you hate us? And it's like, oh,
it's my girl Joni. She's cool.
I know. That's why I got back to her, because I was like, just come on.
She gets it now.
Now,
yeah, she didn't get
it was
at
a little aggravating that I had to explain myself, because it's like, you can't understand what's going on, that I'm just trying to make him feel bad to get him to my level. Come on. All right.
He's supporting you like John.
That's right.
That's right. I got to keep
Tough
myself.
love.
Yeah, I got to keep myself in these with these microaggressions. I got to keep myself satiated. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Hardy is a little upset, not very upset, but a little upset. He'll explain why.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
All right, Blue.
Both teams will play tonight. Bruins wrap up their 4-game road trip against Carolina. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers have the pregame at 6:30 and the face-off at 7 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Bruins currently have a lead of 6 points for a playoff spot. Celtics are home to play Charlotte. Everyone available for the green. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7:30 and the tip-off at 8 over on 105.7 WROR. The Celtics still have a magic number of 2 to clinch the 2 seed in the East. Red Sox have matched their worst 10-game start to a season in the last 80 years. They're 2-8 after an 8-6 home loss to Milwaukee last night. This is a 5-5 game until Garrett Mitchell's tie-breaking RBI single, and you couple that with a Roman Anthony throwing error, and the Brewers went up by 2, never to trail again. Garrett Crochet faces Milwaukee at Fenway tonight. Michigan beat Connecticut 69-63 to win college basketball's national championship. Elliot Cadeau scored 19 points for the winners. He was voted the Final Four's most outstanding player. And North Carolina yesterday hired Michael Malone as their new head basketball coach. He won an NBA championship in Denver in 2023. Hasn't been a college head coach since 2001. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the 99 Restaurants. Visit the Nines the day after the Red Sox win and get a free kids meal for every adult entree purchased. You gotta love the Nines. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
Listen to it, laugh at it, get mad at it, agree with it, argue about it. It is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Ticket not punch.
Hardy.
No, the ticket's not punch.
Fred.
You got a bunch of stuff wrong when you talk. So much for this country.
Dutcher and Hardy.
I guess this country's a bunch of buffoons that don't know the rules.
You idiot. The Sports Hub.
Plus points, I believe, in every game they played in this tournament. They've blown out everyone, including Arizona. That was the majority, I believe, was the favorite in the whole tournament, and a lot of experts picked. The majority of experts picked, maybe not by a lot, but did pick them to win the tournament. And Hurley kept them under 70 points with a undermatched squad and was able to make that thing a rock fight, which is very impressive. If anything, I came out of this game with a huge amount of respect for Dan Hurley and just the importance of coaching in college basketball. That much is true, because I said this before, but after the game that Arizona got killed in the Final Four, the coach of Arizona said the thing about Michigan is that because of their size, it's very difficult to know how to play them unless you played them before, and that's why they had tighter contests in the Big Ten, he believed, is because Big Ten teams played them 2-3 times, and so you get to know that team a little bit better. But Dan Hurley, having not played them, was able to get a game plan to defensively to really slow them down and to really negate their height, and it was something to behold. But why do people hate the University of Michigan?
Well, I've come up with the fabulous 5 reasons why I hate the University of Michigan.
So Hardy and I grew up in suburban Detroit, where a lot of people go to University of Michigan and Michigan State. University of Michigan was never on the table for either of us, I believe. Certainly for me, there was no way I was ever getting into Michigan. I got waitlisted to Michigan State. But could you have gotten into Michigan?
I don't think so. I think my GPA wasn't high enough. And back then it was pretty much, it was GPA, SAT, ACT, and I didn't have, I had a bunch of stuff I did in high school, but I wasn't a standout athlete or academic or anything. So
right.
My GPA was fine. It was enough to I think, easily get into Michigan State. Although once I got into Michigan State and took all the placement tests, I placed into math 082, which is, here are numbers. Here's how you do long division. I'd taken calculus in high school, and I was in the straight up dope class for math, which I didn't even end up taking. I said, what major requires no math? Journalism. That's what I'll do. I'll do journalism.
Yeah. So they did not take the SAT into that much of a consideration, because that's how I got into the private schools I got into, was my verbal score on the SAT, and my grades were no good.
No.
And so, but Michigan, sure, you hate a lot of the alumni. You saw Adam Schefter and his family in the locker room after the game. Why of all the people, including presidents that have gone to the University of Michigan, is a guy who tweets for a living in the locker room, who's very, 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 very short, Why is he in the locker room? These are all questions you can ask yourself. But Hardy, maybe people regionally who don't really care about colleges outside of going to them, or why do they hate the University of Michigan?
Well, number one, we just kind of touched on it, and it is the image. This image that people who go to Michigan and the people who are part of the university try and put out there of superiority in academics, which only, and this is not a recent development, only extends as far as, well, as long as, you're only talking about getting into medical school. If you're an athlete, Ramil Robinson, you can have, Fred, I'm guessing that your test scores were twice that of Ramil Robinson's. Nice kid, I'm sure.
Local kid here, yeah.
Yeah, no business attending the University of Michigan, and this is when I was there. We're like, hey, I thought you guys were all supposed to be so smart. How is it that somebody like Ramil Robinson, who we had very unfortunate nicknames for at the time, the nicest of which was Remedial Robinson, how come this guy gets to go to school there? Oh, because it's all a big fraud. It's just a joke. It's like you're like any other school. When you want an athlete, when you want someone to go there, they'll get in, whether it's by means of their athletic prowess or if you have enough money.
Well, there are some schools where it is hard. I mean, regardless of your athletic achievements, there is, now it's not as high as everyone else's, but there is a baseline for getting into school. Like BC, I don't think you can take a swing at like a kid that really did poorly in high school.
They've done that in the past. They've always been where the academic school, you have to fit this standard. They've kind of varied off the path with a couple of guys. Like there was a kid named Willie Green who was a running back, who was a first-round pick of Cleveland. That didn't end well. And so BC went right back to no, not again.
Because my son goes to a school, and he's obviously not Ramil Robinson, but he goes to a school with himself and a lot of other kids are going to college for athletics. And I know that even with like elite prospects, there is some sort of, with some schools, some sort of academic threshold that you have to get over.
Yep.
Now, if all things are the same, you're getting in 1,000 times ahead of anyone else, regardless of their grades. That's not a question, and you might get money and you're going to get a scholarship. But the thing is that there does need to be a threshold. So when Michigan does it, it's not like you can go, well, everyone does it, because that's just not true. Michigan does it to a degree that some other schools don't.
Right. Now, number two on the fabulous 5 things I hate about Michigan are the fans. Number one, people automatically assume you're a fan of Michigan if you're from the state of Michigan. Not true. Although, I will say, and Fred, you can back me up on this, the majority of people in the state of Michigan, or if you split them among all the schools, Michigan State, Central, Western, all that stuff, Michigan is going to have a higher number of fans than anyone else. And that bugs me because most of these people you see walking around in Michigan hats and Michigan shirts, not the alum. I'm just talking about, I got to root for a team because I'm here in the state of Michigan. That would not only, forget about being accepted into the University of Michigan, you don't have the grades and you don't have the money. Number two, they don't even want you in the town. They want nothing to do with you rubes because they fancy themselves as this very European-like destination in Ann Arbor. It's eclectic, but it's also very fancy. It's kind of like got this old money feel about it, but also we're going to get down and dirty when we have to with these crappy little pubs where it's kind of like purposely crappy in here, but that's how we like it. We like it cool like that.
They're like Cubs fans in Chicago. And the thing that bugs me about the Michigan fans is that there will be kids that went to Central Michigan or went to Western Michigan that are D1 public universities that graduate from those institutions, and then they walk around and put on social media, hooray for Michigan, and it's like, whoa. Not only did you not go to Michigan, you went to another state school that competes against Michigan. What the hell is wrong with you? And it happens where Western Michigan or Central will beat Michigan State or Michigan in a sporting event. Like, it does happen from time to time. Like, you can't take credit for any of that. You can't shift your allegiances like that. That really bothers me, Ryan Meredith.
Yes.
Like, you dope. You went to Central, which sucks, and now you're bopping around in Michigan gear like you had grades.
Those fans, yes, those fans. He's a perfect example.
Yeah, like his thing on Facebook when I used to be on Facebook was like him in Michigan stuff when it wasn't him riding a cool jet ski, and then I would get all pissed off because I was like,
cool.
"You went to Central."
I like that. All right, number 3.
I have a jet ski.
Number 3, the campus. And to that I say, what campus? It's all mixed in with the city of Ann Arbor. Oh, sure, they have a quad. But everywhere else, you have to walk around. You have to go from place to place to get to these different buildings. My sister went there for a year. I have friends who went to Michigan. We would go down there. I'm like, where do you go to class? Oh, you have to like get on this street and then go down there and take a bus down here. I like a dedicated campus. Michigan State, bordered by farm fencing. That's how you know you're on campus. Not really, but it should be. And probably at the Swine Research Center, there is some farm fencing down there.
Okay.
UMass, that's a dedicated campus.
Sure.
Boston College, that's a campus. You know when you're on campus, you know when you're off campus. University of Michigan, the campus is kind of over here. There's a little bit over there. You walk across here, you go past these restaurants. There's another couple buildings that belong to the University of Michigan. It stinks, and I don't like it. Number 4.
Yes.
Ironically, of the 5 things I hate about Michigan is the Fab Five. They stink.
Why?
Because they didn't win anything. These fabulous 5 players, these freshmen that came in, out of all of them, we double-checked it this morning. The only one that ever won anything was Juwan Howard, and he was a passenger on his
5
on his championship teams. What's that?
I don't like that argument because it's like one of the 5 won.
Well, it's not your argument. You don't have to like it.
I like the Fab Five.
Oh, did you like it when Chris Webber first traveled and then called a timeout that he didn't have in the championship
No, I
game
didn't
to lose on that game?
because I did like that team.
Yeah, well,
they wore baggy
lot
shorts.
to like. He stunk. He traveled, and then he called a
Well, I went
timeout
to-
that they didn't have. Fabulous.
I
Great
talked to
job.
him. I had talked to him from time to time
Bang
in high
up,
school. I
bang
felt
up
like I knew
job,
him.
Weber.
We never talked after that. But
You and the rest of those guys outside of Juwan the passenger never won anything. Real fabulous. You guys.
One's a
are
Hall of
amazing.
Famer, and the other one, Jalen
Oh, a
Rose,
basketball
was
Hall of Famer? That is quite an accomplishment, as we discussed
You're
in the
talking
last
about
week.
5 people that played together for 2 years. One won a championship, and one's in the Hall of Fame. It's a little. I like your Michigan arguments. This is the weakest of all of them.
Yeah, how many national championships has Michigan State won since 2000?
1?
Is it 1 or 2? Is
No,
it
it's
one?
just the
Just a
2000.
1? All right.
Big Ten has not won since 2000.
That's right. You said that. You said
the
that
same
earlier.
as Michigan.
All I'm saying
Right.
is you're on equal footing here with the University of
I'm
Michigan.
not just
in college
talking about the
basketball.
number of championships in the last 26 years, John. I'm talking about the Fab Five. That was number 4. I was talking about the Fab Five.
Draymond
I don't
Green.
think they're all that fabulous.
Draymond Green is the glue of a championship dynasty in the NBA. Michigan State has a better pedigree of guys coming out.
Get over it. My God.
What, the Fab Five?
Yes.
You guys brought it up this morning. I was going to talk about it. I didn't even have it on my list of things.
But you put it there, so why would you put it there when Michigan State's been just as good, if not better, in college basketball?
Because no one came up with cute and clever nicknames for any of the players at Michigan State. You know,
So it's jealousy?
Yes,
the problem?
Some of it is jealousy, and that will lead into point number 5 in a moment. But the fact that they get all the accolades and all the attention, and Michigan football, big brother. Chase Winovich used to try and give me a hard time about it when he was coming on Zolak and Bertrand talking about
but
little
he's
brother.
got long hair. He's awesome.
And going back, I'm like, hey, Chase, looking back at the last 10 years here, Michigan State has won that matchup 6. Has it been 7 times? Where's this little brother nonsense coming from, especially since you've been alive? Shut up. It's a non-factor, and the Fab Five weren't all that fabulous.
The one thing is that I heard after the most latest Michigan coach had a scandal where he was arrested for pulling a butter knife on a woman because he was sad. Like the most embarrassing thing ever. So it was funny when I was trying
Michigan State's head coach had his problems.
When I was trying to remember the guy's name, so they had an ex-Michigan player on it, and the first thing that came to my mind is like his name was something like Ballsack, but it was Butts. It was the tight end Butts. And he's on
Jake Butt. Yes,
Jake Butt.
that's
Yeah.
right.
So like he's on the radio and he's talking like in the wake of all these scandals, like the day after the guy was arrested, and he's like, I take great pride in being a Michigan man, a football Michigan man. It's like maybe now's not the time to use the PR term. Is after your coach got sad and pulled a butter knife out and threatened to kill himself because the woman he was cheating on his wife with was mean to him. Maybe now is not the time who's DMing women all over Well, that's even beside the point. He got sad that a woman he was having an affair with got mad at him, so he pulled a butter knife and said that he was going to harm himself and got himself arrested. Not exactly the poster child for the Michigan man.
Right, and I don't walk around calling myself a Michigan State man because
no, it's annoying. It's rare. That's terrible.
Someone could point and say, "Well, what about Mel Tucker?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's an idiot." Don't sexually harass the woman you come in to talk about sexual harassment to your football team.
Well, no, the issue's not the coach of Michigan doing that, and that's a reflection on Michigan. That's not even the argument I'm making. So that the Mel Tucker thing's out the window. The thing is that in the wake of that, while discussing that, a guy who recently played football at Michigan is referring to himself as a Michigan man.
A Michigan football man.
Yeah, it's like now is not the time.
Yeah.
This is a PR term, and if you were a PR expert, you'd be like, maybe don't use the slogan.
Yeah.
Like at this moment.
Yeah, give that one a breather for 6-8 months.
How about you don't pop on the radio either?
Yeah.
That might help us out, idiot.
But the fifth and final of the fabulous 5 things I hate about Michigan is the truth. And the truth is, if I need to go have serious surgery today and I have my choice between a doctor who did any type of schooling at the University of Michigan or Michigan State, I'll go with the guy who went to Michigan. If you're going to give me a lawyer, I'm like, maybe give me the guy who went to the U of M law school as opposed to the one they opened up at Michigan State. I think they did relatively recently.
We're not sure.
Now, if it's a vet, I'll take the Michigan State vet 10 times out of 10 over anybody in the world. But the truth is, academically, it is the superior school. I will grant you that, but nothing else. Everything else about it, I despise and I deride, and I have no patience for people propping them up or calling themselves fan when they really don't know anything about it. They haven't been there. They don't know what it's like. And spoiler alert, if you are a fan from afar and you think you're all into Michigan, wait till you go there. They don't want you there. Very, very superior, elitist snobs.
I'll take a doctor from Michigan State. Here's to the late bloomers. I don't want you judged by your high school performance when you were 15. The hell do I care how you did when you were 15? You don't know what the hell's going on when you're 15. The whole system with getting into like an elite college is nonsense. Conan O'Brien will tell you the hardest thing about getting into Harvard, the hardest thing about graduating from Harvard is getting into Harvard. And that's all, that includes when you're 14 years old. That's not you doing that. That's your parents doing that. It's nonsense. It's like raising Todd Marinovich. It's just academic Todd Marinovich.
Well, I think either you said it or someone did, Fred, and it became very, very clear to me. That's just about college now. The hardest thing about going to college, I found with getting my daughter and helping in whatever way I could with her applications and going through that process a couple of years ago, the hardest part about it is getting in. Like deciding where it is that you want to go and hopefully getting in there. And then once you're in, things tend to take care of themselves. You find out very quickly whether or not you've got what it takes to operate there academically and socially and everything else. But getting in, that's the tough part.
Well, with my daughter, my son's different, but with my daughter, I said, I want you to have options. She's like, I don't want you to be like chasing this like particular thing unless you really want it. But I just want you to have options. Now, those options can be whatever you want. But this notion of she's going to somehow fail in life because she didn't go to a particular college, I find to be asinine. If you're judged by how hard you studied when you were 14 years old, it's a bit of a broken system. You should be able to get into a college, succeed as an adult, or don't go to college now and succeed as an adult and not be judged on your academic performance as a 14-year-old. It's preposterous. It's hard enough with an athlete because you're being judged on your athletic performance at 17. So whatever. All right, we'll be back, but that makes sense because they're asking you to play when you're 18. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
All right, your testosterone. All right. Our email segment is powered by Jeffrey Glassman Injury Lawyers. If you've been hurt in a car or work accident, you got to get Glassman. Don't just send an email. Call all sevens at 617-777-7777 or visit gottagetglassman.com. If you'd like to email us, you can go to 985thesportshub.com and look at all of that and get our email addresses. You can follow us on Instagram and see the new Thuppets video to the MASH theme song, which a lot of people are reacting positively to at Toucher and Hardy, at Hardy985, or at Fred Toucher. That's available, all of those. We were just talking about Michigan. We got an email earlier. Fred, as a Michigan alum, I'm not so sure your team were fair to Michigan. Tried to call in, but had to go to work, so you had moved on to the Masters, so was on hold for too long. First, Fab Five, Juwan was the first one to commit. Not the last. After the Detroit boys committed, Juwan recruited the Texas boys.
That's true.
Second, Michigan team this year. Not sure they were really all hired 27-year-olds like you said. All right, let's go through. He says maybe he goes through all of them. He goes, maybe the only hired players I can give you are Yaxel, Morez, Johnson, maybe. Well, Morez Johnson, this is his first year at Michigan. This was their best player's first year at Michigan.
Yeah, Lindenberg was a graduate school student who played at UAB last year.
Yeah, I mean, what are you talking about? And then he's like, Mara doesn't count, the 7'3" kid who was at UCLA the last 2 years because they didn't play him at UCLA. Well, he's still a transfer. Everyone on this team is a transfer.
What are you missing?
Cadeau, which I gave too much credit for because I thought they had recruited Cadeau. But they had not. Cadeau is a transfer student from UNC.
Yep.
So this is his first year. So what the hell are you talking about? Everyone on this team that got significant playing time is a transfer student.
Now, there are a lot of programs that do the exact same thing as Michigan.
But now you're pivoting from the argument. The argument was that was an unfair characterization. Roddy Gale, who played last night, was at Ohio State for 2 seasons. Like, this is such an asinine hill to die on, especially in the wake of the team that you went to school and conceivably root for winning this championship. I mean, the coach came in 2 years ago. He got kids to transfer. That's his big accomplishment. Trey McKinney is a freshman who plays at Michigan, and he played last night. He played 29 minutes last night. So congratulations. You got one kid. You got a kid whose last name is very similar to mine. That is exciting me right now, and he is a career Michigan kid. So he played 7 minutes. So you got 2 kids that are one's a career Michigan kid, one's a freshman.
Paul Perillo texted me and said when I was talking about how the Michigan State teams never had any clever nicknames like the Fab Five, and he said, no nicknames, Hardy. I remember the Flintstones with Mateen Cleaves. I said, okay, fair point, but invoking the city of Flint is hardly the same thing as calling yourselves fabulous. I mean, calling yourselves the Flintstones was
it also
borderline
took off.
Self-deprecating.
I mean, there's all these documentaries and books about the Flintstones.
Yeah. So
I don't even remember the Flintstones, and I was around, and I saw them play in the Elite Eight that year in person. There was about 17 people at that game. They played Temple. I got in for free because I was working at the bar next door, and me and my friend walked in, and we just kept walking and walking and walking until we were at the row of seats before the court. I saw that's the game that Don Chaney flipped out and started screaming after the game and threatened to kick everyone's ass. Don Chaney, that's his name, right? The coach at Temple, the famous coach at Temple. John Chaney. Yeah, he started flipping out. But I was at that game.
Huh.
They didn't serve alcohol, so it was kind of a bummer back then.
I was invited to go to the game, and John and I were talking about this very early this morning. The last time Michigan State appeared in the championship game, yesterday was the 17-year anniversary of the Michigan State UNC championship game. April 6, 2009, the Final Four was held in Detroit at Ford Field. And I had a bunch of friends, fellow alum, classmates. It's like, we're all going. Well, at the time, I couldn't swing it. And also, looking at that UNC team, I said, should they win their semifinal and have to play North Carolina, they're going to get creamed. And why would I spend why would I spend a bunch of money and time going to see that? And you know what? They got beat. 89-72 in a game that wasn't that close. I remember watching and saying, yeah, that's why I didn't go.
Final Four is back in Detroit next year.
Oh.
Another opportunity.
Is that Ford Field? Because I didn't like the court last night.
Yeah, you see all the pictures online. This is this is the back row, worst seat in the house. Can't see a damn thing.
It didn't look good on television.
No, it didn't. And the other thing was they apparently sold box seats where they sectioned off something on the floor behind one of the baskets. Like you could have a couch back there and a recliner and whatever. You couldn't see anything.
Recliner!
You couldn't see anything. It wasn't on a riser either. So you were basically on the same level as everyone else who had box seats. These poor Illinois fans had paid all that money for box seats where you could have like 7 or 8 people sitting around a table and put your feet up. Couldn't see anything.
Maybe it was in 2000 when I saw Michigan State in the Elite Eight, because this says it was in Auburn Hills and that they played Iowa State. Or they played Wisconsin in Indianapolis. So I'll have to. Oh, that was the Final Four, but they played in Auburn Hills. I'll have to double check my years.
Not Gary
Don't worry,
Tangway.
I'm on it.
Not Gary Tangway emailed in and said, "Hardy, you are such a Masters debater. If you love it so much, why not get a tattoo of Georgia with a little golf flag where Augusta is? You only have to.
2001 is when I saw them play Temple at the Atlanta, Georgia.
Good.
Dome.
We're all waiting. You only have to go.
It was on March 25th. Right there in Atlanta.
Yep.
They went on to lose to Arizona.
It's awesome.
All right.
What else you got?
That's it. They beat Gonzaga to make it to the Elite Eight in the Sweet 16.
Yep. That's what's important.
They were the 1 seed.
That's what we're all waiting to find out.
All right, go ahead.
No, I already did it. It's done.
The Masters, yes, the Masters.
I did it. You weren't listening. Everyone else was. I'm not going to repeat it for your benefit when everyone else heard it.
Okay, Jonathan, did you hear it?
No, I did not hear it. I'd like to hear it again, please.
You're not going to.
Well, we all lose. I apologize, John, that you're not going to get that information.
This from Jimmy. Please tell Hardy I'm a, quote, Michigan man, unquote, class of 95. I get it. I understand the anger. I'm used to it. He's jealous. Michigan State will forever be the redheaded stepchild.
You've gotten yourself in a mood now.
How many people do you think at the University of Michigan are actually from Michigan or have anything to do with it before or after they're there? Now, afterward, yes, they tend to wear their alumni status proudly. But maybe it's association with the state of Michigan that bothers me above all other things, because it has so little to do with the actual state and the people there that when people equate it to Michigan, I'm like, it's got nothing to do with Michigan. It's like saying Harvard is Massachusetts. Like, what does Harvard have to do with Massachusetts?
I suppose more than Michigan does it with Michigan, because at least Harvard's close to the city and is like kind of woven into the tapestry.
Agreed. Part of Cambridge.
I think it's even more. Harvard is more. I guess it would be like BC is part of Massachusetts. Like it's.
Yeah.
I think that's more of
that's
fair.
Yes.
Like you just kind of get like offshoots of that. Yeah. Growing up, I didn't mind Michigan. It was when I got old enough to realize what was going on that it started to bug me.
Yeah, when you get old enough to be annoyed by people.
Like Adam Schefter being in the locker room just bugs me. Like it just bugs me. Like that's a really good school with a lot of really notable alumni, and you let the little Twitter guy in. That just it bothered me. Like it doesn't bother me that he's there. It doesn't bother me that he's there with his family. It doesn't bother me at all that he put it on Instagram. It's that he was in the locker room during the celebration.
Speaking of Twitter guys, what's Darren Ravel doing? He made a career out of tweeting.
Yeah.
That's all he did.
Well, he made a career out of blocking you if you said anything to him on Twitter.
But is he doing anything now?
No, because he's useless. So he's doing nothing.
Well, he would have, little tidbits. He would have little bits of information he'd throw it out there from time to time.
He'd be like, the Super Bowl was really popular.
Yes, precisely. That was his tidbit.
And then he'd
Stating
be
the
like,
obvious.
this guy has got his nose to the media landscape, my friends. He would be like, I'll tell you what, the audience seems to go up the further you get along in the playoffs. And you go, the less teams, but there's less teams playing. How do you explain that?
Well, that's
a lot of eyeballs on the championship game last night. And you're like, oh.
Thanks.
How about that? That's good to know.
I had no knowledge of that
All
until
right,
you
there's
brought
no
it to
other,
my attention.
There was no other place to get this information. I thank you for putting this on Twitter in a way I can understand it.
Andrew emailed in with the subject line, "You going to pick that up?" And then it said, "That name you dropped, Chase Winovich." Yes, that was that was a big swinging D moment I threw down there. The fact that we used to have Chase Winovich on once a week on the midday show.
Yeah, if I knew a kid that was going into college or the pros that was able to grow long blonde hair, my suggestion would be to grow long blonde hair because it differentiates you under the helmet. And then you can become a Winovich or an Anzalone, a mediocre linebacker with somehow a ton of sponsorship deals because you are identifiable on the field with a helmet on. That is really what Chase Winovich was.
The fact that Winovich was selling his stuff on like Facebook Marketplace just fascinated us. Like, you okay, dude? Do you need a little something this month? Are you gonna be all right? Just random things. He had like a dog treadmill that he was selling on Facebook Marketplace. Somebody emailed it into us when he was doing on the show one time. We're like, wait a second, is this really you?
You don't think it was like just a bored spouse?
Oh, no, I don't think he was.
Oh, you don't think he was in a relationship at that time?
Didn't seem like it, no.
Okay. But that is strange. Because usually Facebook Marketplace is the playground of the bored.
What are you going to do, throw away that torn bat bag? No, you're going to sell it on Facebook Marketplace.
Like my ex-wife, before she started working, went through like a 2-week period where she was pretty heavy on the Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, she was selling like old T-ball bat bags. And I'm like, what the hell? And we're like, are you sure everything's out of them? And she's like, yeah. And then Milo went and looked, and there's certainly nothing, and nothing was out of them. They were just had been brought up from the basement.
And when you have to drive over to a nice house to buy one of these items, let me tell you from experience, you have a lot of disdain for the person selling it to you. My wife wanted this special high chair for must have been for Calvin. Yeah, we wouldn't. I don't think we would have gotten it for Katie, or we had one for her. So here's what we couldn't afford it. It was ridiculous, but this woman was selling one in Weston. And I drove over to their house in Weston and wound my way up the driveway.
Yeah.
You know, instructed to park in front of the 4th garage bay.
Yeah.
Walked over there, and I'm like, they're in my Ford Escape, handing this woman over my money for this. I'm like, you know what? You could, at this point, decide just to give this to me. Looks like everything's fine here. I mean, it had to have been a $5 million house, and I'm giving her money for a used high chair.
Yeah, I could see. I drove an Escape at that time too. We were like bosom buddies. Then I transitioned to the Fusion.
But no, it wasn't a bad car.
I love the Escape.
Yeah,
I got that in Atlanta.
I thought you had an Edge.
No, my ex-wife drove an Edge. I drove an Escape.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I got the Fusion because look, I was a family man. It was time to get settled down with a nice mid-sized sedan.
Well, Eminem did the big unveiling.
Oh, he
the
did?
Ford Fusion.
Maybe that was subliminally why I did this. Just real quick, The Ringer has the winners and losers of the NCAA championship game, and one of their losers is Dan Hurley's plan. So my whole Dan Hurley take seems to be thrown to the side.
Okay.
About him showing coaching brilliance last night.
Sure Rovell didn't write that? Jesus.
It seems a little unfair, but what are you going to do? All right. And it's the opposite of what I've been saying all morning, and I'm an idiot, so maybe I'm wrong. All right. We'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. Hardy, the video of the great MASH song that is great for reasons that we can't put our finger on, but it is believed to be so, is up now at Toucher and Hardy on Instagram. You can go ahead and watch that. It's the new Thuppets video featuring Drew Carter. Some people are texting me. They're like, who is that? It's Drew Carter. He's the voice of the Boston Celtics on TV, and he was kind enough to participate in this video and was willing to go even further than went on to the film, which I'll give him a ton of credit for. I like that. All right, Hardy.
It was the method acting that put me off a little bit. He refused to let go of that Wallach puppet, and was just unspeakable acts. You're in the station, but he said no. I can't break character.
Maybe one day we'll release all the footage on the cutting room floor.
Yes, that would be something.
In an X-rated cut of the video.
Red band trailer.
Exactly.
Howard Stern and his wife Beth Stern are being sued by their former assistant for creating a hostile work environment. Now, I've read through a good chunk of this. I don't see where the hostile work environment comes into play, but what I do find interesting is what she was getting paid.
Yeah, I didn't see the salary.
Okay, so again, she was hired in May of 2024, and it was because Beth Stern, Howard's wife, needed help in managing the staff of their 20,000 square foot Southampton mansion in New York and managing household operations, including helping out with Beth's, quote, extensive at-home feline rescue and fostering operations. So as an assistant, she was supposed to get a raise to what amount, and what bonus was she promised in 2026? She was going to, her salary was to be what this year, along with a bonus, Fred? Go ahead and guess.
$80,000 with a $15,000 bonus.
I'll say $200,000 with a $100,000 bonus.
$80,000 is correct for the bonus.
Hachi Mach?
Howard, she was supposed to be getting a raise that would have brought her up to $265,000.
I was pretty close.
And an $80,000 bonus in 2026, but instead she was fired in February.
Right. This lawsuit seems like she wants them to throw out the NDA so he'll give her money to go away. That's what's in court right now is the validity of the NDA, that the non-disclosure agreement that she signed at the end of her working tenure. She claims to have not signed it. They're fighting for that because they want that thrown out. And if that's thrown out, she feels that Howard, being private in that aspect of his life, would be willing to pay her to not talk. And that's what's going on. It's bribery, in my opinion. It's look, far be for me to take the side of a billionaire, but I do believe it's bribery.
But I've wondered about this, and all the, you're doing great work with animal rescue and the North Shore Animal League and all this stuff. But the woman points out in her lawsuit that it is an untenable animal rescue and fostering operation occurring on site, massively disorganized, and questionable business and accounting practices.
Oh, okay.
And I have no question their heart is in the right place, and they're trying to do all they can to save cats and whatever else they're doing. But you're also doing it as an amateur in your home.
How about this, too? One of the expenses conceivably is paying $280,000 to an employee.
I would
with
find,
an 80,
that's questionable.
Yeah, that's a little questionable. Like, if you're giving money to a charity and you realize the assistant that's running some of the operation is getting paid $280,000, that is
excellent point.
If that is indeed what's happening, you got to keep track before you give to a charity of how much the people inside the charity are making. Sometimes people work for charities living extravagant lifestyles, and not having to pay taxes. I'm not saying that's what she's doing, but just keep an eye on that before you give money to someone. All right.